international stock markets or international property. So that was kind of my train of thought of all this, why I was asking.
Oh, okay. Don't buy Singapore stock. It's very volatile.
I think it also depends on what is the payout that you're looking at. I mean,
so if
in the stock market, you probably hold for a while. But if you're talking about property, you're probably trying to do all your Airbnb and stuff like that. I think that is probably where you can try to get as much returns as possible. But the problem here is that now it's still considered quite a good time to buy. Partly it's because if you invest in a couple of good properties and all this, especially location,
Yeah.
Because of what we have been educated in school, you tend to spend a lot of time trying to be good in that things that you're not so strong in.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. But when you're running a business, if everybody is to focus on their weaknesses and nobody focus on their strength, the business is going to go down eventually.
I like it.
Yeah. So
we come in. Podcast, Liem.
Focus on strengths. That's the new name for this podcast.
So we go in and try to identify each of the person's strength, and then we try to assemble them together. So when assemble a team, not because of blood relationship, not because of titles and everything, you can actually get the company to move faster and better. We had a couple of cases where the CEO hired us or the founder of the business, hired us.
Yeah.
And then we recommended him to remove himself.
Yes.
Because
you are the problem.
Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Liem. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast. Paddy, thank you for this opportunity. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good start.
What businesses are you doing? How did you get successful? And let us hear your whole story.
Okay, first and foremost, thank you very much for inviting me. Okay. Probably I just kick off with what I do, who am I, and stuff like that. Basically the couple of W's and the H with how. Okay, my name is Paddy Tan. I'm actually a Singaporean. I'm based here in Singapore. So I'm 47 years old this year, 1975. I buy, sell, invest, restructure, and scale companies. So there's a couple of big keywords. So how do I get started? Basically I got my very first break when I first started my company in around 2005. If you happen to be as old as me, you probably remember Nokia phones, Sony Ericsson phones,
yes,
BlackBerry.
We are that old.
The BlackBerry, the BlackBerry are the dialer, not the touch screen then. So I developed some mobile security software then in 2005, and then managed to sell the company off in around 2011. So what you see today is find my phone, find my iPhone, but that was based on the smartphone concept. Mine was dumb phone, using Symbians and Java and all this kind of stuff. I got my first break after I sold my company, and then subsequently I went on to invest in some startups, but mainly in Hong Kong, China, Southeast Asia. And along the way, they always say skin in the games. So I invested in them, and then I went in with my own money to sort of try to figure a way out of how to scale the company. And eventually sort of find a formula and managed to get some of those companies I invested to be sold. So when I sold them off means that I structured them, go into a couple of countries like Southeast Asia, like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and then eventually some folks from the west side. The Southeast Asia is big now, so a lot of companies are looking to enter into Southeast Asia. So the quickest, fastest ways is usually through M&A. So they come in, they acquire. So the companies that I got involved in, I put them up and then get them invested, and then I do my exit and I move on and on and on. And today, no thanks to the stupid pandemic. Okay, I'm working mainly now, work from home. The world just started to open up. For the past 2 years, I'm actually helping more of the companies from the West, East, wherever that wants to enter into Southeast Asia. So I'm focusing a lot with this company called Blackstorm Consulting.
Ah,
Yep. So we do a bit more on structuring, scaling the companies, meaning that we have teams of people in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and Taiwan. We help them to scale them into the few countries. So when we say scaling, it's not like as if it's just link a partnership. No, it's not. It's sort of like we set up not only the company, but we get the partners, we get the sales, we get the business development, we get the ops, get everything all set up so that when they are more ready to come over, they can take over the whole business, and then we move on.
okay. So you did some security software for Nokia phones. No, BlackBerry phones.
Yeah. We did a lot of them, and then we did a few crossings. So some of the devices that were sold in the market were actually bundled with the software as a third party.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest challenge is to install the software into the phone. That will take a whole lot of process to do that. So we usually do it by bundling it with, meaning that it's an option for the user to install.
Yeah.
And this also goes in through with the carrier or the telcos in the various countries.
So when you sold that company, now you had money to go buy other companies, and you said you're structuring them. So that sounds businessy, but I don't know what that means. So what company did you buy first with your?
In general, I bought so because I got involved in the mobile security environment. So when you're in that environment, you get to see devices, the progress of smart devices.
Yeah.
Like what we have today is you call it IoT, you call it whatever, the smart aircon, smart vehicles and stuff like that. So because during that time, as early as 2005, I got to see the progress of devices, moving, getting either smaller, smarter, better battery consumptions, less radiations, and of course the functions and features becomes much more and more powerful. So I use that so-called insider informations that I know of. I mean the insights, not insider, insights that I know of. To invest in companies, too big. Insights. Okay, to get into those startups that are up and coming. Those companies are investors are what we call as a boring business, meaning that companies that try to make the chips smaller.
Yeah.
Try to dissipate the heat faster. Try to make the screen, the captivative screen or resistive screens to be better. The battery and how they, because I was a material engineer.
Okay. Yep.
So I got to know, smart devices. Like today, most of us probably don't care what goes into the device as long as it works. But not to forget, things that you see on the display, the sound, the audio, the whatever stuff, you probably have to look into. As devices get smarter, it means that the components, all this should also get better. So some of the investment that I did involved in terms of the hardware manufacturing side, in terms of the R&D design, and also involved in the use of software to communicate between the hardware and device.
Have you seen that internet meme where it shows like an old Radio Shack ad, and the dude has a boombox and a tape recorder and a typewriter, and he has like 20 devices from Radio Shack, and all these things are now in your phone?
Yes.
Have you seen that meme?
Into one small little smartphone these days,
Yeah.
So that was how I went into those business.
Yeah. So knowing everything you know about material science, what's the best cell phone to buy today?
Okay. How should I say? There won't be any perfect phone, but I think it also depends on the user. If you're someone who want to tweak around, play around with the codes and stuff like that, lots of parameters to play around with it. Then
I want to watch movies, and I want to tweet people, and then I want my battery to last a long time and have good heat dissipation.
Then it's probably iPhone.
Oh yeah, okay. Cutting edge materials in the iPhones.
Well, not really cutting edge per se. The thing is that it's easy to use. The whole entire UI UX. I mean, to be honest, Apple got it right. You just off the straight for the box. and you can immediately use it. Your learning curve is very short. But whereas if you're using Android, it will probably take a while of tweaking here and there to get the kind of parameters, the kind of the design that you want. So for those who like to play around with gadgets, I think this is where Android comes in very good. As you probably know, well, there are many other manufacturers versus one Apple. So you create a lot of competitions between the Android manufacturers where they will try to up each other by coming up with better display, come up with wireless charging. In fact, most of the I can say that I'm a bit biased, but those devices that are with the cutting edge are usually from Android manufacturers. But they don't necessarily get it right. To be honest, they don't necessarily get it right. But once they got it right, then when you Samsung, like Samsung always lead the pack. They always got it right, but they are the one who spend the most on R&D. But however, when Apple launches it, Apple usually got it perfect. I mean, this is how I see it. Where Android side will try to get it right, but when Apple launches, which is why Apple always launch so-called new technology 1-2 years later, and everyone who is an Apple user, they probably don't follow Android then, but when they saw it on Apple, they were like, wow. So
Yes.
So there's a pros and cons between the devices. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're not a genius, go for the iPhone.
I didn't say that.
That's why you go to the store and there's a genius hanging out at the store, right?
Right. They're compensating for what the title is. But I mean, yeah, we see with the iPod, take that back 20 years ago? Because
it's a century ago.
Yeah, it was forever ago. But there's some really advanced MP3 players coming out. Sony, I forget some of the other names. I think
Zune.
Zune.
Microsoft, yeah.
I think there's other ones. There was a Zen one. I think that one actually had a lot of stuff, but it was just a smaller name, and it wasn't. They had a lot of advanced stuff, kind of like what you're saying about Android. But it wasn't until Apple brought out their iPod, and everyone's like, "Oh, this MP3 player does this and that," and I was like, "No, that was done by Zen or Zoom or any of those like 2, 3, 4 years ago."
Yeah,
but it was Apple that made it big. Afterwards.
No, but it looks cool when I wear it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like today's in most of the Android phone user, having two SIM cards or dual SIM is actually the norm. And then when you have it on the iPhone user, they were like, why do I need two SIM card?
Yeah.
But whereas two SIM cards is actually the norm, especially here in Asia.
Yeah. I would say international. In America, it's still not very common, dual SIMs.
Yeah.
Every time I go international, I try to buy dual SIM phones. Yeah,
and also, there are also some versions of iPhone that actually sells in dual SIM card, but not available in US. Like for example, in Hong Kong, you can actually buy so-called the dual SIM card. Not necessarily eSIM, but it's available. So they do create a sort of varieties.
So a SIM card stores the identity of a phone number and becomes kind of the core piece of the phone.
I would say it's the SIM is the phone number to a carrier, and if you have reason to need multiple carriers, like you might have one that's has better text messaging, or one that has better out of the city internet.
Oh, you could switch carriers.
Yeah. It's
you could have two carriers on one phone, essentially. Yeah.
I thought I was just hiding all my shady activity.
You can do that too.
You could do that too, but I was using it for
that you need a burner phone.
Burner phone. I need a burner phone with 3 SIM cards.
No, they just do. I think they only do 1 SIM card. They have those prison phones. They're like this small, and
I saw a video about that. Yeah, it's tiny. It's meant to be easily smuggled.
Yeah.
What is this on the dark web, or what website do you buy this from?
I don't know enough about it. I just saw it on Linus Tech Tips.
That's where I saw it too. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
There are a lot of websites that sells those.
Paddy, have you ever bought one of these
prison phones?
Nah, never had the chance.
Aren't you interested in the tiny technology? Because they had to maximize some of the variables to get to the smallest phone, right?
Yeah, I guess so, but nah.
That's pretty much a single chip solution. It's literally like one chip on a little tiny PCB, and
it's terrible heat dissipation.
It's a small market.
Yeah,
it's captive audience.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so Paddy started in the cell phone world, which became the smartphone world, and now So, what does it mean to structure? Say you invest in a company that does making the chips smaller. So what?
Invest in all kinds of companies. So far, that was the initial in around 2000. When I first started was 2005, and I sold my very first company, the mobile security company around 2011, and then subsequently went on sort of like a buying spree. Went around investing here and there, the kind of stuff. And when I invest in all these companies, majority of them is just more of like trial and error. The thing is that when you got some money, the last thing that you want is that you just keep the money. So, and the money is not a lot. So, I mean, it was a good exit for me, but I went on to invest partly is because I want to catch the wave. I mean, every few years, there's always a certain wave, So during that time was more like Southeast Asia seems to be up and coming, of course. Then during that time, the US, China is never ending, the kind of relationship that they have. And so to me, it's like, okay, since I know the companies are looking into the east side, Southeast Asia, so I capitalize on it. And even like now, until today, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, US, China, the wars are going on, conflicts are going on, everything. And then I also understand that because I'm an Asian myself, it's very complicated to enter into Southeast Asia as a market. It's very complicated because a lot of folks always think of when you look into Southeast Asia, people get confused. Like Singapore is part of China, and the Thailand.
No, it's part of Bali. Don't be ridiculous.
So like Vietnam is still under China, the kind of stuff. So a lot of people get very confused, and people don't quite understand that the language that we speak are not one or two. If you're including the dialects, including even like like Indonesia. Indonesia today's population is about 275 million. That's a country, 275 million. And this is behind Singapore, and Singapore is like less than 6 million. So when you have all this, everybody speaks differently. Like now is a Ramadan, is a fasting month for a lot of Muslim. So when you have so many countries are doing all those, a lot of people get very confused about how do I engage partners, how do I engage customers, how do I do all. I may not even speak the same lingo as them. So when this with cultures are so deep in, it's not easy to enter into the market. But however,
I have a question. If you're in Indonesia and it's Ramadan time, so you got all these millions of Indonesians not eating, do the restaurants lose money or do they close?
No. It's a religion thing. And the thing is that, okay, for example, a lot of them actually cater to the market. So they open different timing. Like for example, I don't have the exact time because every day are different. But around like 5+ a.m. in the morning, they actually a lot of folks actually wake up to prepare the breakfast, the meals for the day. And they will have it, they will consume it, and then after that they will go on the fasting all the way until probably about 7:23 p.m. So during that time, there's also where the restaurants opens up in preparations much earlier, and then they start to sell food
at 7:23 p.m.
I mean the time changes every day, but
because it's based on the sun.
Okay. I'm not Muslim, so
okay.
I don't really have all the details. But it's based on a certain timing, so you can see that the restaurants and the cafes usually are very, very packed.
Gotcha.
So that means a lot of folks will actually be preparing for breakfast. So the moment the timing hits, there will be some announcement to be made. And everybody start to do fasting. So some of the restaurants are actually catered in such a way that they target certain audience at certain timing also. So what's interesting is that this is not happening just only in Indonesia, but Indonesia being one of the larger Muslim country. Next to it is also Malaysia, and then of course here in Singapore, multiracial. So we have Muslim friends. They're also breaking fast and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this makes it very unique if you want to do business in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So like case in point, I just came back from Malaysia. This is my third trip for the past few months because the world is opening up, so we can get to travel.
Yeah.
So same. I have some employees, some staff. They are Muslim. So even though we are here for so many years, I mean we grew up here, we are still learning new things. We're still learning new things. Especially for example, the world is changing.
Yeah.
Previously you probably like okay, they eat on their own, I eat on my own. But as you grow up, you're like okay, trying to figure out, what works and what does not work. So you have to be a bit more sensitive. Like perhaps some of you folks may know, food is like a gel, okay, to the society.
Like a jail?
Yeah, gel, J-E-L.
Gel. Oh, okay. Holds it together.
Okay, like a gel.
Gotcha.
Like hold us Asians together. Like whether is it from Vietnam to Thailand to Singapore to Malaysia, food on the table, it tends to be a conversational piece for everybody. So when that happens during this period of time, then as a businessman, you have to be sensitive. No, you don't go around asking your Muslim friend, hey, come, let's go for food, dinner or something like that. You got to be a bit more sensitive. And also some of us will choose to, when they break fast, we can choose to join them together.
Yeah.
As a form of respect and all this. These are something that a lot of folks who may not understand that. Why you guys want to do that? So I think this warrants a sort of a kind of understanding to have a bit of a bit more of a responsibility of understanding each other before you start to do any business. And this is where I use where the company Blackstorms is able to do quite a lot of business. Partly is because we understand the market fairly well compared to others.
Yeah. So a little bit of cultural intelligence will help you to smooth out a lot of potential conflicts.
Yes, correct. And especially if you're talking about a mixture of, you can have someone that's from Sri Lanka, okay, you can someone from Thailand, they married together, and then you can have a sort of a fusion of cultures that you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
So this is what makes Southeast Asia so interesting to a lot of countries.
Jumping back to the business side for the restructuring, what are some stories or how would you describe structuring a business to
making everybody show up at work at 7?
Being a mean person, a mean boss to force them to be there sharply at 7?
I think, okay, let's start off with, there are many other things that we can always look at when we are structuring a company. Let me tell you what not to do rather than what to do. I think what to do, most of us tend to overdo. Okay, what not to do, some of us get it so ingrained into us that we keep doing the same thing, thinking that it's right.
Okay.
So, for example, usually when we restructure a company or structure a company or even prepare them to scale from one country to another country, one market to another market, we usually play around with these 3 P's. Okay, product, process, and people.
Product, process, and people. Okay.
Yeah, let me explain. The most problematic is always people. Okay, because when you're putting people together, I mean, there are a few of us here. Okay, for the sake of this recording, everybody is more cordial and everything. But the problem is that when you start working together, there will always be conflict because why? Each and every one of us have our own belief, have our own culture, religions. We have our own baggages. So when you try to put everybody in together, if the direction is not clear, or the direction keep changing, keep pivoting, and then there's not enough understanding, this always creates problem. So when we come in to do structurings, the very first thing that we always look at is people. Okay, in Asia, I think, probably like many other countries, but in Asia tend to be a bit more predominant. Number one, family members tend to be involved in businesses. Okay, nothing wrong with that if you look at it. But however, nepotism comes in, and it's actually quite common that if you just Google it, you got someone's fathers, uncles, aunties who happens to be in the high positions, and then the politicians will pass it down, that kind of stuff.
Wait, are you talking about Sri Lanka?
But there are actually a lot of countries that have this problem.
Okay.
I mean, I'm from Singapore, so a lot of folks were always talking about the Lee family. Is it passing down of one prime minister to another prime minister? There are always a lot of talks about all this. I mean, That's on the country level, but in the company level, is worse. Okay, yes, basically as a company itself, you're affected externally, and certain factors are not something that you can control. For example, the economy, the environment, war. There's a lot of things that you can't really control, but there are a lot of things that you can control within a business. That means, for example, when we talk about people, product, process, the very first thing that we always look at is people. So if you have if you were given a task or the project when we go in, if it's a family business, the very first thing that you need to look at, the one who is always right may always be the one who is always wrong, because the one who is always right, nobody will dare to tell him or her that you're wrong. I mean, it's not just that you see in a movie on the TV. So let's say, for example, okay, if the owner, like one case study, we work with a large manufacturer, okay, a huge manufacturer that have been dominate the market for almost about 40 plus years. We were called in to restructure the company because to sort of slice and dice the business, because the owner is looking to retire, that kind of stuff. Okay, so the moment you go in, the first thing that you see is that the CFO is an auntie, and then you got the nieces, nephews, a whole bunch of them all down there. So and then there's a lot of infighting and the lot of funny stuff going on, like trying to gain powers and all this. So when that happens, when you have that happens, you have to understand that it's not just something that you can just do it very easily in Asia. You can just say, you should go to the left, you should go to the right, you should go to team A, you should go to team B. It doesn't work this way,
right?
Because Asians tend to put in a lot of efforts onto face, the face value that you have. Like you don't give me face. If this is the whose son, then you should, whatever he or she said should be right. So you have a lot of this kind of understanding. So you have a lot of misconceptualizations of that this is the right way to do it, and then it probably ingrained into the whole culture of the business. And when that happens, when the external parties are competitors coming in, I think they can get wiped out easily. And when they wipe out, they put them to their knees. They may not be able to climb up at all. So companies like those, when we are asked to enter, the very first thing is that we don't look at the product, we don't look at the process, we settle the people first. Okay, then this is where you will need to spend some time to sort of dig out where are all the tensions. So once you identify where are the tensions, can these tensions actually be converted into energy? Meaning that, can you actually split them up? Like for example, some of them, they want to be on the top, even though they don't have the capability or they don't have the capacity to do all those. So when that happens, which is very common. Okay, just because you are the son doesn't mean that necessarily means that you are the vice chairman. The kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm the oldest son. I want to be at the top.
Yes, exactly. So here's the thing. So it has to start with the founder of the business. Because it's the founder, he actually somehow created that kind of environment. Okay. So we have to sort of we can't undo what he had done, but we have to tell him that what had been done, that was the past. But what's moving forward, you have to work with us to sort of to say, okay, whatever I've done, that was the past. But now, going forward, we have to set a certain more structure. And when we set a more structure, it can simply mean that you should tap onto the person's based on his strength, not based on his title. The title can be my son. Therefore, anything is under my son. But you should based on, like for example, case in point on that, like one of the cases that we work on, the manufacturer that I told you, but the son is not. How should I say? He has no interest to take over the manufacturing business at all. No interest. Yeah. So when that happens, nah.
Okay.
So when that happens, what you're trying to do is that you're trying to get him, to channel his energy to doing what he does best, and then hopefully this can also benefit the business from a commercial point of view, from the financial, and then can also bring money to the business as a whole. So why put, the problem with Asians, a lot of Asians is that they tend to put the people in just because of the relationship and not because of the talents. So what we do is that we will structure it in such manner that you will have to select the most talented people, because when you put in the most talented people, to him doing a certain things, it doesn't take too much of his resources, doesn't take up too much of the time. But if you put someone who is actually struggling, this is not, okay, I always have this saying, in school, we are taught to pass every single subject.
I see.
So that you can move up to the next level, correct?
Yeah.
But in life, you don't have to pass through every obstacle to move on with life because life goes on.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you are in a business, if you are not good in it, okay, then you should choose to do what you're good in and not choose to do what you're not good in. Like in school,
Yeah.
if let's say you're very bad in, say, I don't know, Chinese, math, science, or whatever.
Mhm.
So our parents, or at least Asian parents, will push you to say, you must not only pass, you must score.
Yeah.
You must score very high. Okay. So when that happens, what does it mean? It means that in school, we are taught to spend more time in the subjects that we are weaker in.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
But however, in life, let's say, for example, you are a cyclist. You are very good in swimming. You're very good in cycling, but you are very bad in running.
Mm.
So we may probably spend time trying to do the running,
Mhm.
okay? And then you spend so much time running that you may actually don't have the resources to do other things like cycling or swimming, which supposedly improve what you should be getting better.
I think that's a brilliant point. Yeah. That's great.
So in companies, especially in Asian type of companies, they tend to focus on if you're not good means that you're useless.
Oh.
It's pretty brutal.
Oh, okay.
It's actually pretty
If
brutal,
you suck at
right?
running.
Yeah, you know, so what we always do is that we go in and say, okay, so let's say over a period of time, you realize, hey, you know, the CFO was there because she's your wife, okay,
Uh-huh.
but she's actually not very good, and she may end up, you know, the problem with human is when you're not good in certain things, okay, when you're not good in certain things, because of what we have been educated in school, you tend to spend a lot of time trying to be good in that things that you're not so strong in.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong, but when you're running a business, if everybody is to focus on their weaknesses and nobody focus on their strength,
Yeah.
the business is going to go down eventually.
I like it.
Yeah. So
We need to
we
change this
come in.
podcast, Liem.
Focus on strengths. That's the new name for this podcast.
So we go in and try to identify each of the person's strength, and then we try to assemble them together. So when assemble a team, not because of blood relationship, not because of titles and everything, you can actually get the company to move faster and better. And the external competitors coming in will actually be much difficult to penetrate.
So would you literally take somebody out of a job and put them in a different department or a different role? Is that the structuring
because,
part of it?
Because we are hired as a fixer or consultants, whatever,
Yeah.
we can only recommend.
Yeah.
So there's only so much we can do. But however, I think the very first thing that we need to do, incidentally, we had a couple of cases where the CEO hired us or the founder of the business, hired us.
Yeah.
And then we recommended him to remove himself.
Yes.
Yeah,
you are the problem.
Because sometimes it may actually be better for them to sort of step down, step back, step up, and let the folks who are really suitable to run it. But again, it's never easy because of face.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You hire us, and then we discover that the problem is actually you.
Yeah.
So, and it may actually be better that we sort of like surround you with others that are better, that can take over some of the stuff that you're doing, and then push you up. Then you make only the critical decisions, but you don't handle the day-to-day operation.
Yeah.
Because the folks who are running the day-to-day operation may not have to be the one to make the decision on the direction. And the one who make the decision on the direction may not be the guy best to do the day-to-day operation.
Yeah, I like it.
On that situation, when you told the CEO to leave, did he actually leave? Did he listen or?
Well, usually some of these companies, okay, there are three types of clientele that we have. The more complicated ones are usually your listed companies, your big corporations, and that means they have boards. They have different committee in. They have a board of directors in. So it's not so straightforward as hey, we can just tell you to leave and then you leave. It does have to go into the board meetings, and then you got to do a vote and everything. For us, we try not to go into that level. Usually we just identify that it may actually be better for you to step away. Maybe step away doesn't mean that you don't get involved, but step away. That means some of the stuff that you're supposed to do, don't do, and pass it down, and then train the next generation Because a lot of, especially those are family business, one of the things that they're always fixated is to ensure that the kids live up to their expectation. Yeah, I think to be honest, it's very, very tough. I think we all have this biasness. And well, all of us are childs. We are some kids of someone's someone's kids. So your fathers, your mom will always have certain expectations, and it has to stop somewhere. To be honest, it's not easy. I mean, it's easier said than done. But whatever the older generation cannot meet, they will try to push it down to the younger generation, saying that, hey, I'm giving you all this compared to them.
Yeah.
So with all this, shouldn't you be able to make it easier? But then again, a lot of us have forgot that it comes with new sets of challenges also.
Yeah.
Like last time we talked about there's no internet. At least during my time, okay, well, I was still using a 14.4 dial-up, okay. So at least during my time, there's no internet. You may think that life was simpler, but then again, life was not simpler because you are using now compared to last time, and then now when you are using now to compare to the future, I think this is a gap that is always very difficult to catch up. And when that happens, running a business, you will be using your old sets of values, nothing wrong with it, but old sets of environments to impose it into the new, to your kids to excel. So when that happens, usually it may actually be better to get professional managers to come in and then surround the people that you want to train up so that you can strike a balance of what's real, what's imaginary, and what's more realistic. I think this is where you need to strike a balance on it. Yeah.
How if someone were interested to get in your industry or to do what you do, what would you advise for them to do, and what would you advise against?
Sell your first company.
Okay, my take here is that it's a bit unorthodox. I wouldn't say you should start your own business, go around, hitting the, trying to fix all this business. I don't think so. Because in the line that we have, it's not something that you can just put it out on the internet and say, hey, company in trouble, look for us, we fix for you.
Yes.
It's not a car repair. It's not, it's not a phone repair kind of business.
Right.
A lot of our business is through word of mouth recommendations.
Yeah.
So we don't really go around publishing. So if for folks who want to go into doing what we are doing, I think the very first listing, the listing that you want to do is that to join big corporate companies that probably just put you into a pigeonhole, put you into a cubicle. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you are taking that career path as a consultant, it's just that all this they have went through the whole entire process. So whenever you come in, there's of course there's a lot of tests, a lot of research that you need to do and stuff like that. Nothing wrong again, but the problem is that the challenge of this is that the kind of problem thrown to you is probably more or less similar.
Yeah.
When you're in the learning stage, okay. So I would suggest if you can join a small little boutique kind of a consultancy firm, okay. Don't just put yourself to do only one thing. If you can join a boutique company that's probably less 1-2 years while they are still trying to find their footing, and everybody will let's say you join as a business analyst, but you probably end up the one preparing coffee, preparing documents, doing concourse at the middle. So you get a whole base of everything. Then once you get all this, you sort of build a bit more resilience up to you. So okay, so if I'm standing in the middle, I see everything coming in. Which are the more important, which are the least important. And then subsequently, once you're able to manage it already, try to find an opportunity to go out with your senior.
Do you have
I can relate to that because I'm a realtor here in Vegas. I buy and sell homes, or help people buy and sell homes. So I never hang out at the office because there's no houses at the office and there's no clients at the office. So I'm always out all around town. But there's part of me that's always jealous of like the receptionist, like an office manager, right? Because if I was in the office, then I could see everybody's deals. I could see all the transactions. I could see every problem and every solution that comes through that brokerage. So there's part of me that wishes I had the kind of experience you're talking about, is to be at the hub of the tornado, right? To be in the mess, to learn it all.
How much did did you use from your college or university, that knowledge versus what you use in the actual field? Like, I guess I'll kind of give my train of thought. When I was going through my computer networks degree, they had me take a business class, and I thought the business class seemed so simple. I couldn't believe that it was a business class, but
It was like a lemonade stand.
that's what it was. A little bit more complicated, but it felt like it was so dumbed down.
Yeah.
where I felt, to me, this is maybe, I don't know, maybe I thought of business differently at that age or something, but I felt that it's stuff that you should just almost, you could deduce by being in the environment. Like if I go work in a corporate office, when you were saying, Paddy, when you were saying to go work in that environment, it reminded me when I'm working in a cubicle at a company doing software, as I start talking to the CIO, the CEO, the director of marketing, the director of hotel reception. So I'm getting a visual of the business through all the lenses of every department. And I felt that was, to me, that felt obvious of how I could see where I think they could improve stuff. But of course, they're not going to listen to me. I'm just a programmer.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and man, I went on a major tangent.
Should have been a consultant.
Sometimes I wonder about that. So the stuff that I learned in school, the business management and the programming, when I got into the real world, I felt like none of it, I wouldn't say none of it applied, but I learned so much more in doing it, being there, than whatever I used from school, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I think it's I think this is a process that everybody goes through. You know, but sometimes I take up classes. You know, I take up things like, you know, that's pre-pandemic. I conduct classes for some universities. Talk about mentorships, entrepreneurs, and everything. I do agree that you know, the education wise, it will never be perfect. Partly it's because of I think, well, at least for me, when I went through schools, went through the polytechnics, diplomas, and all this, it was tough when you don't know. And then you went through all those, and then eventually when you graduated, you come out to the industry, then you realize, hey, this is nothing, man. You know, whatever I learned is nothing. But at least it gives you a sort of foundations. But I think what makes a lot of students can really take advantage of it is that when you're in schools, they can only give you probably the basic. At least when we are outside, you know, when you're working, you see that these are all very basic. But when you're a student, you don't see that as basic. You see that as my God, this Mount Everest that I need to climb over. Correct. So it may actually be good if they can actually strike a balance of, while I'm studying, it gives me the foundations. Can I use these foundations to learn more things? I think this is what a lot of why a lot of universities these days are running a lot of startups. When they run a lot of startups, incubators, you know, pre-accelerators, they sort of give you the kind of exposure. And if you are never a student, I don't think you will ever get exposed to it. But if you're a student, excuse me, if you're students, you probably can get you know, a lot of exposure to all this, and then you can probably use this to build your foundation up. And of course, I mean, it's never easy when you're students, but the moment when you come out, a lot of things may not be applicable. But however, the process of going through schools, you know, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, excuse me, are you disciplined enough? Are you not disciplined enough? You know, do you really care about the way you present a presentation? Or I think somehow some of this actually do follow you one way or another until you are, you know, when you reach a certain age, or even like when you're running your own business, you probably still remember, hey, you know, I should never be late for classes, because if I'm late for classes, I get punishment. So I should probably never be late for meetings. You know, the kind of stuff. I think it follows us one way or another. So I mean, this is how I see it.
Are there a lot of universities in Singapore?
There are. I mean, you got the public one and you got the private one. Well, the couple of public one are pretty high up on the ranking in the world. So I think
well, so I'm assuming you have a public education where the general public goes to high school, right? Is that?
Yes. So there are a couple of routes. It depends. I know some of them is you go through the primary school, you go to secondary school, because ours is very much following the UK. Okay. So we have to go through the primary school, then secondary school, then from there you get to choose. Okay. Whether do you want to go to the polytechnic? That's where you will get a diploma after 3 years of study, or you can go to the junior college. That's probably about 2 years.
Is a polytechnic like a trade, like you would learn to be a plumber or something?
Yeah, it's more of the technical. I should say more practical than theory. Okay. You know, so that it means things like, okay, you are there to learn how to be technicians, how to be engineers and stuff like that. It's more it's less theory based. It's more hands on. Yeah. Okay. So you got labs, computer labs, doing multimedia and stuff like that. So those are the more of the. In other words, with a diploma, you can actually come out and start working with a diploma. But if you are taking the other route, which is going to the junior college, that will be about 2 years.
Yeah.
After you're done with the 2 years, then you have the option to go to university. Okay, so if you go to university, then that's depends on whether it's 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah.
So similarly, if you are taking a diploma, you can choose to work first for a couple of years, and then decide that you probably have the sufficient money. Then you go and take a degree. So that depends on which route are you taking on.
Yeah. So in Singapore, most people will finish primary and secondary education. Then do most people, what percentage of people go on to further education at that point, do you think, in Singapore? What's typical? Is it?
Actually, I could say
most?
At least about 90+%.
Wow. So everybody's getting super educated in Singapore. Because in the US, in the US, a lot of people can barely finish high school. They're busy trying to have fun and go drinking and do stupid shit.
I think if I remember the figure correctly, I think it was 30%. 30% of people have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
So if Paddy's saying, or was it 90% was at
are pursuing some kind of education after.
Yeah. It's actually quite common. It's kind of weird that you just finish at secondary school and then you stop. Most folks will try to study a bit more.
Yeah.
It's hyper competitive here. It's very, very competitive here in Singapore.
But then who's going to make the sandwiches if everybody's going to college?
That's where you have import talents.
Import talent. I like it. Gotcha.
Yeah. So for example, it is actually quite sad to say, not all educations are delivered same. They delivered the same quality. So for example, in some university degree in Singapore versus some other countries, or some other countries versus Singapore, may not be equal.
Right.
So sad to say, there are also some countries where they have a degree holder ended up coming over to Singapore, coming up over to other countries to be domestic helper, to be drivers, construction. That's where the poverty lines of different countries are very different. And of course, the currency exchange helps a lot also. So it's also quite common for some folks who are a degree holder in their country. They travel to other places where they can earn more, stuff like that.
No, I saw that a lot in the casino business here in Las Vegas. Was a lot of Cuban immigrants. A Cuban guy could be he's an engineer, or he's a
doctor.
Yeah, medical professional or something in Cuba. And he goes, well, I come here and none of my stuff transfers. Nobody respects any of all of my work and my achievements. And then they take a casino job because they're pretty good paying jobs with benefits, and they gotta keep their kids safe and pay for the bills. And it's a smart move for them because they're still relatively better off. But it's frustrating because man, here I'm sweeping floors when I have so much intelligence and intellect available. So it's a similar situation in some respects.
So it is also to add on, I think this is also where startups comes in. Because the whole entire field is being levered. You may be a doctor, working in Las Vegas, but it doesn't stop you from starting a business one way or another with the skill set that you already have. I mean, it's not easy, but then again, sort of like last time, it's always when you grow up, you gotta either work for a government so that you get what we call is an iron rice bowl. The iron rice bowl.
I like it.
I mean, the rice bowl.
Yeah.
The rice bowl. Most of the rice bowl is all made up of ceramic.
Yeah.
Okay, but so there's a saying, at least in this part of the world, is iron. The whole thing is made of iron. The Iron Man.
Yeah.
So this is something that you will never break.
Yeah.
So when you never break means that you always have rice on the bowl for you to consume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
So when we were young, we were taught to when you grow up, work for the government, because when you work for a government, seldom government collapse. But then again, these days a lot of government collapse. Yeah.
Right.
So that was what a lot of us were taught. And for those who want to start their own business, well, it's always frowned upon because Asians tend to take a bit more conservative view
Yeah.
So it's a slight difference of of a point of view. So
It's risky to go out there starting a business.
Yeah.
it's never easy.
Yeah.
So Paddy, you were in your mid 20s when you started doing the software security software for phones, was it? And then
2005. That's about 20 plus years ago. Yeah.
oh, so your early 20s, and then you sold it in your late 20s. You sold that company.
Okay, let me see. I started in 2005. I sold it in 2011, and now it's 2022. So that's 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, around there.
Okay,
50,
so
70 years ago.
would you? Because I feel like that's not a journey that not many people would get to do to start a company and sell it. How much were you like not financially, but how much were you invested in that company, whether time or did you create the software 100% by yourself, or was it a team or?
Okay, good question. Okay, so maybe I can start off with an answer of why I start this company.
Yeah.
It's not because I want to be a millionaire. It's because my parents are your typical Asian family. Work very hard, serve the society, serve the public, serve the people, but never think too much about themselves. Okay, so my dad was a hawker. Something like selling vegetarian food stuff. So next to where we set up the stores, there's a huge factory. So the factories is actually majority of the production workers will come from Malaysia. So early in the morning, about 3-4 a.m., those folks will be on the bus traveling from Malaysia, cross the borders, and then into Singapore. And then probably about 5:30 they will arrive. And usually most of them don't eat, and they will just buy some cheap food. So usually my parents, my dad, he will sell those plain vegetarian noodles and stuff like that to them.
Is it because they didn't want to eat pork?
No, it's just they are a bit more religious, so they are more on the vegetarian. And then, but for the production operators, sad to say, they usually go for the one who sell them the most, but the cheapest. Right. So it's never about nutrition, the kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, I want the most food for the least money. Yeah.
Human greed.
So because of that, I tend to help them quite a lot. So I wake up around 5 o'clock. I tend to help them quite a fair bit, and then once I'm done, I will just change to my school uniform and go to school. And I was figuring out that there must be a better way to serve the public. There must be there must be a better way to make money. There must be a better way to to do all this. I know serving the bigger the society is good and all this, but it's different. Hey, hang on, guys. I just realized my internet. There's some problem with my internet.
Okay, go for it.
Can I switch the internet?
Yeah, go for it.
Let me just do the tethering.
Okay.
Different SIM card.
Yeah. See, dual SIM helps.
No, I'm actually at home. Just I hang on. I just realized it. Something is a bit wonky on the. Maybe
the Russians are watching.
No,
I want to learn about phone security
from 2005. Got the secrets. Dude, I think Paddy's about my age. He's 47. I'm 45. I bet he loves the movie Terminator 2.
I don't know if that was... Well, actually, that's a probably global phenomenon.
That was the biggest movie that year.
But I mean, globally?
I don't know. This is 2005.
What movie?
Let me switch.
Terminator 2. Yeah, go for it.
Yep.
Terminator 2 came out in 1992.
Yeah, but he's about my age, so I'm assuming... I bet he was really excited about that movie.
All the Terminators are good.
Creating the software security on you call it a dumb phone, and then selling a company would you say that's the biggest catapult for your career?
I would say it was the beginning, partly it's because of when I first started the business, going back to just before we were interrupted. Going back to it is that when I first started the business, it was actually never intend to make lots of money. I just want to get out of the cycle. Partly it's because it's almost impossible that every day, every now and then you go back, helping your parents. I'm not complaining, to be honest, but it's just that there should be a better way to make money, because the more he sells, the more losses he makes. And then the more losses he make means that the family suffer. Because you will have to cut corners one way or another, and he never really cut corners on the food, which is okay. But so to me, you have to strike a balance between helping the world, saving the world, and saving your own family, saving your own stomach. So that was also where it drives me. Is hey, eventually I want to run my own business, and there should be a better way to do business without having to really suffer that bad. So like when you're running a startup, you may suffer for 5, 10, 15 years, but you may probably compress the whole 50 years, assuming, let's say you start work at 20 years, and then let's say you retire at 70 years old. So assuming that you're supposed to work for 50 years to survive. And during these 50 years, you're supposed to have family, not everybody, but
stereotypically
traditionally, traditionally, a lot of people are looking at, I want to have a career. I don't want to be the sandwich generation, so that my folks are sick. I don't have to depend on insurance alone. There are many other things I can work on. So that was where I decided, if I were to start my own company, if I were to really, really work very, very hard for the 10, 20 years, I may be able to compress 50 years of it into that short period of time. You compare it. So that also drives me to decide, hey, instead of trying to muck around, trying to spend time doing nothing, I have to figure a way out to make money. So, and that's also where I realized making money doesn't mean that you have to have a very high education. Okay. But it helps to have a good, proper education. So when we talk about good, proper education, doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be top school.
Right.
So I was actually figuring out, so that means that if you are able to figure out what you want in life, I think as early as possible, that is where you can probably make a living.
Yeah, Paddy knew he was motivated to make 70 years worth of work in 20 years.
But I did that.
Yeah, killed it.
So I was figuring out, and then I was trying to see, hey, is there any better way to do it? And there's of course studying tends to become a longer journey to most people when you want to start your own business. I mean, truth to be told, when you start your own business, you always think of, hey, is there a shorter, faster way? I went through that route also. But what's interesting was that I did graduate from a diploma during that time. I was given 2 opportunities. One was to join as a business development engineer. One was to become a chemist. Because I studied material engineer. So one of those chemists where you do testing and a whole bunch of. So I decided. I talked to my girlfriend then, which is my wife now. 26 years already. Yeah. So I was like, hey, I never really liked to do sales because I feel that, the kind of salesman that I met at the coffee shop, because, my parents are selling at the food store. So you can imagine all kinds of weird folks are probably there.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but I realized, hey, I don't really like to do sales, but she highly recommended, just try it. And I did. So I joined the business development engineer position. And this is where I got the best opportunity. Partly is because I still remember my boss, which is a business development director, Casey Liem. He told me something very interesting. He said, this job is not going to pay very high. Okay. He told me upfront. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think it was 1,650 Sing dollar. That comes out to about 1,300 US dollars there.
Okay.
So, and that's not a lot. That's very little actually. So, but he said
that
month?
That's a monthly wage.
For a month. Yeah. So he said that, but you probably get to fly around the world, and you probably learn to see things. You get to see things that majority of the people may not be. I was like, okay. So I just signed up and they just.
Nice.
So, and the interesting thing was that how I started my company, it got to do with my traveling because we were doing the company Singapore Shine Sanyo was doing accessories for Palm PDA. You remember Palm
PDAs? Yep.
Yes, correct. So we were doing all the accessories for that, and when you're doing accessories, it's a hardware accessories. So I got to talk to the owners, the founders of the Palm themselves.
Yeah.
The evangelists and a whole bunch of all these guys. I was like, wow. I got to travel to Las Vegas. I was in Las Vegas for a few times.
Did you get in trouble?
I don't. I'm a very boring engineer.
Vegas will ruin anybody.
Yep. I used to say in circus then.
Circus, yeah.
Yeah,
Good spot.
those are the days, you know, and then small little place and all the kind of thing. So you go to attend the convention center.
Yeah.
Well, I did attend a few strip bars for research purposes.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
See what kind of devices they're using.
Yeah. See if they're using iPhone or Android.
So during that time, okay, I'm actually I consider quite tall in Asia. I'm 6'2".
Oh,
Wow.
you are tall.
Yeah.
Oh, anywhere, jeez.
So I you know I used to fly United Airlines. I hate it. Okay, I really hate it.
Yeah.
And because you are an engineer, you are considered as a junior. So they usually don't give a crap about
Yeah.
are you going to be on aisle seats and stuff like that. So I'm always on the window seat.
Mhm.
Okay, because I'm tall, and then you know, you don't go on the plane to sleep like what my
Mhm.
bosses used to do.
Yeah.
You go on the plane with a stupid laptop, which is the laptop is like, you know, huge laptop, not like now.
Yeah.
So you gotta do work and everything. So a couple of times I actually lost items in the plane.
What do you mean?
Because you got a huge laptop in front of you, you're doing
Yeah.
work, and then I'm considered as tall, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
small space on the window. So we are doing all the work. You know, you tend to lose pen, you tend to lose this
Oh,
and that.
yeah.
And that was where I discovered maybe there's actually a business for people like me who lost their stuff, but you still want to get it back.
Yeah.
Okay. And you probably lost the stuff that's not just in terms of, you know, probably it's a cheap pen or whatever, but maybe this pen is given by your girlfriend, this pen is given by your mom, you know, that kind of stuff. So you still want to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where how the mobile security software comes about. So I have the intention of maybe if you lost a phone, if you lost a laptop, it happens. Okay, it is actually more than common.
Mhm.
Okay, it's very common. A misplace of stuff. Maybe you can put a piece of sticker. So that was actually how I started, with a piece of sticker.
Mm.
No technology, not even low technology. It's no NO.
Okay.
You put a piece of you put a piece of sticker with a barcode. Okay, where this barcode, not QR code, but it's a 1D barcode.
Right.
Okay. You just lost it. You just there's a telephone number, toll free. Give a call anywhere in the world and say that you found a laptop, and then you get a reward for it. So that was actually how I started.
Oh. I like this.
And it was like we were selling it for like $9.90 for a year. So I was testing it, and during that time I got this idea, and later I left my job.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I started this with a friend. I was like, why not we just, because printing sticker is actually very cheap. Okay. It's not expensive, and the kind of sticker is where you paste it on the devices. When somebody tries to rip it off, it will leave some residue onto it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So we actually try it out, and then surprisingly, we did it with a lot of corporate clients where they have a lot of folks who are flying around, and then we tested it and it works. Okay. After that, my final objective is actually to have it on the devices. Okay. Because if you lost a phone, okay, let's say for the you lost a phone now.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what you're more concerned is not just the phone, it's about the content inside.
Yeah. I can look at all my dirty pictures.
Now, I mean, even though some of
Nipple
our
squeezing.
even some of our
app.
software, some of our content may already have it on the cloud. But then again, how many of us actually subscribe more than necessary? Like if you're using iPhone, they probably give you like 2 gig. Then if you're using a Samsung, they probably give you a 50 gig with a partnership with Dropbox, stuff like that. So my ultimate goal was actually to create an environment where you can actually just install the software, and then even if you lost it, you can still have all the copies. But during that time, there isn't this thing like cloud hosting, or at least not popular yet. Right. So that's actually how I started my business. And but ultimately, I realized that running a business is you need good people, and this is where I hired some folks. They started off with me as an intern. Identified them, I trained them, because I code myself. I mean, I myself do some coding myself. I learned on my own. So I got interns, and then convert the interns to help me, and then we launched the software. And objective was actually very simple. Was supposed to make it as many people as possible, sell it as cheap as possible, so that eventually someone can just come and acquire it, and then we can do a good exit.
Yeah.
So back then, all the software was written in Java for those dumb phones, wasn't it?
Yep, correct. So we were using we were building on Symbian's, Windows, Pocket PC, Java and stuff like that. And then later on, we migrated over to use on the MacBook, okay, on the Windows laptop and stuff like that. In fact, I also work with during the time when Twitter first came out not too long. So I signed up as to learn about their API, access protocol interface, to see whether if you lost a phone, if you lost a laptop, so the moment somebody opens it, switch it on, whatever, you can automatically send a tweet out your location. So we were using like, for example, some of the phones already have built-in GPS. Some of the phones have camera. So with permission, of course, because it's your own phone, we are able to capture the photos, videos, IP address, and then send everything publicly to the Twitter. So when you send it as a tweet, your friends who are followers are able to see everything. So we were testing it out with all these.
We could see who accidentally found your phone and is trying to return it to you.
Yeah, correct. So that was that, and then in around 2011, I sold it off, sold the whole company off. And then that's where the journey begins. To answer to your short question, but with a long answer.
That's fine.
Wait, so that actually worked? You had a software that somebody could download, an app that if you told it was lost, it would tweet out how to find me?
Yeah, that was then in 2011. So we did, during that time, you don't have like Google App Store, you don't have Apple App Store done. I saw it in such manner that it was more of an enterprise. So we work, because I'm in Singapore. So Singapore is expensive, everything is expensive. So what we did was that we get the all the serial number. We get the serial number, we keep the serial numbers, and then we get the CD printed. So we printed physical CD. And then we just package it so that CD can go together with our clients. So we were doing a lot more B2B to C. So the B2B will be clientele like carrier, a phone company. So they will buy from us in bulk. And when they sell the phone, that is the CD that goes with it. Those were the days.
You get a free CD.
So the CD comes with the software, and then they can just download the software. And when they download the software, install the software, then they can go online to try to register. So those were the days where because when I first started, software, as long as you don't get something that you can touch and feel, you feel as if as like paying nothing. It's very different day. Like today, if you were to upgrade your Windows to Windows 11, you got no problem having it download at the back end. You got no problem. But last time when they were selling, the Windows 95, they give you a whole box with all the CDs, all the discs inside. So those were the days when I first started.
It is weird. So we have migrated to not caring if we physically get something. We can exchange money for bits, and it just appears differently on our screen. It's just lights and noises. It's an odd world we live in, right?
Yeah, oftentimes nowadays too, when you buy like video games on like a disc, it's actually just essentially a license file, and you still have to download all the content anyway from the server.
Well, it's a good thing our money is solid.
Right. For now.
Only like 3% of it.
Hard-earned cash.
97% of US dollars are still digital.
I only own silver dollars now.
Paddy, something interesting about your little what you're talking about with like the barcode system or whatever. One of our clients for where I work now, their systems are very secure, and they give us hardware to use to access their systems, and they actually still use that. But nowadays they have all these stickers are so strong that to peel them off would require more force than is required to break the actual device itself. And then even if you were to somehow get it off, it leaves a tattoo essentially on like the device itself on the body. And I thought that was really interesting because I researched the whole little sticker that was on my laptop, and I was curious
to figure out how to steal it.
No, I was just curious.
Just in case.
How does it stop anybody?
Just in case they fire you.
It turns out it takes like a ton, literally like a ton, like about 2,000 pounds of force to remove the sticker. And even if you do, it leaves a permanent marking on the plastic itself. And I thought that was really interesting. I mean, you're never gonna be able to sell it, because nobody's gonna buy it.
Just in case your manager doesn't let you have your vacation time.
Correct. The whole residue. I mean, those are the days. So that's also how I got got started during that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So jumping to Blackstorm, you said you're not really looking for clients because it seems to be word of mouth is good enough for your business
The clients
model?
find him.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's not meant to sound arrogant or anything, but it's just that because you see, in the world that we live in, not everybody knows how to run a business, and because it is difficult. Honestly, it is really difficult. So we usually when I said word of mouth, it usually simply means that someone could have already used our service before, and they probably know the way we work, the way we run, like product, people, process, and stuff like that. So when they recommend it to others, I believe a lot of them could have already sort of like one or two layers of filtering. So that the other party, when they come and talk to us, they have a certain expectations of, okay, so you guys are the one who's helping us to do, maybe helping us to do this and that. So this is usually what I try to filter, because I think one of the I don't know if you call it crazy or not. One of the things that we do is that we only do 100 days.
That's crazy.
Okay, that's very, very fast.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 100 days. I said, let's say for example, if you're someone who works on 5 working days, means that there are about 22 man days per month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're talking about 100 days, it simply means that 22 times 5. That's probably about 5 months. But if you're crazy enough, especially if you're a company who is sort of like in a bit of a trouble, trust me, you don't want someone to be like, hey, Paddy, I'm in deep trouble, but I don't want you to solve my problem now. Can you solve my problem in 2 years, 2 years time? Nobody will say that.
Yeah.
Nobody will say that. So to us, it's that it makes practical sense for us to come in and say, okay, you're in trouble, or you need something to fix it, or you need someone to probably you're not even in trouble, but you need someone to prepare it. Why would you want someone to come in to handhold you for the longest time?
Yeah, I don't want you to put out my fire slowly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like for example, I do know of some big corporate companies, big consultancy firms, and all this. I'm not saying it's wrong, but a lot of them like to do a lot of billable hours.
Yeah.
That to me are just trying to get more money from the client.
Yes, that's how you make money.
Yeah, correct. So for us, is we don't work on that manner. Is because first, our team is not a lot. We only have about 15 guys. And we select the project that we think there's a very high chance of success. And then if we can do it faster, it means that we get more projects in. And most importantly is that you get the trust, you earn the trust of the customer. So like case in point, we have clientele who are like, we've been with us for the longest time. Okay, they were like, okay, hey, I know these guys can solve the problem. This guy can help us to scale the business and stuff like that. So once the trust is there already, they will always follow us. And, as their business expands, they will be looking for, hey, I'm actually looking to invest in this particular company. I'm looking to invest in that particular company. So instead of trying to get third party to do that, they know that we can do the job. They're going to just say, hey, Paddy, hey, can you just get a team to look into this? And they know that we can do it efficiently and effectively. So we go in and then we do it. So it's just like, okay, a case in point, I'm using cycling as an example. Okay. If you already know how to cycle, I think asking you to go from point A to point B, for someone who do not know how to cycle, they will like, wow, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But once you're familiar with it already, all kinds of bicycles is probably not a problem for you. But it is always a problem to the owner who don't even know how to cycle. So even if you give him the easiest bicycles, 4 wheels or 3 wheels, it will still take some learning. So when the trust is built up, they will know that, hey, I just need to go from point A to point B. They probably don't care. Are you going to cycle there? Are you going to drive there? Are you going to fly there? They probably don't care. Because by then, they just look at, I just want the problem to be resolved. I just want, the positioning to be ready. And if that's happened, can you help me? That's where. So that is the angle that we are positioning ourselves on.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you drive a Tesla?
No, I don't. Okay, it's very expensive to own a car here in Singapore.
It's impractical.
Oh yeah, it's actually okay. But I prefer to someone to drive me around.
Gotcha.
I mean, not Tesla. I drove before. When I was in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
That was okay.
Yeah,
but
no,
in Singapore,
I'm actually asking
Sorry?
for a kind of a cultural window, an insight into what life is like in Singapore. From you're obviously a successful dude, so what is life like there in Singapore
Okay,
for a successful person? In the U.S., it's a bit of a like if you're a tech person, right? Then it'd be a kind of a status thing to own a Tesla and to drive it around
Oh,
because you're on the
okay,
cutting
I
edge,
see.
right?
So you have to sort of be those stereotype that probably live in a big house, own a Tesla. If you're single, lots of companion, different nights and stuff like that, right?
Oh no, that's a rock star. Yeah, you went too far. That's
a good time.
Yeah, you got to be rich and famous to do that.
I'm probably a bit more unconventional. I don't stay in the I don't stay in the big house. I
Yeah.
don't. I can, but I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
I stay in the public house actually. I stay in the public house.
What does that mean?
I
What's
don't
a
drive.
public house?
Oh, okay. Like flats, flats, flats.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. In Singapore, Singapore is very small. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of parcels or pockets of land. They are
Mhm.
catered for your semi-detached terrace bungalows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are the small piece of land can probably easily cost you 10, 20, 30 million US dollar. Just a land.
Yeah.
Okay, small little piece. Okay, and then you build a little house on top of it, where there's no skyscraper, no buildings, no nothing. So whereas the rest of the commoners stays in flats. So your flats is like 12-story high, then lift that you go to every floor, and then the whole floor you probably have a couple of different units.
Right.
Yeah, so I stay in those. I don't even stay in the condominium.
Yeah.
I don't drive.
Yeah.
Partly it's because I actually spend more time pre-pandemic. Okay, I actually spend more time in the plane than in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, I fly around in Southeast Asia at least.
Yeah.
Then my kids don't go to top schools, just neighborhood schools and stuff like that. Partly it's because of I don't believe in chasing all this. I don't. So, like, okay, for example, a lot of my friends around my age, they probably owns what we known as couple of 5Cs, they call it. Car, credit cards, condo, career, cash.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna use the other word. There's there was a female organ. I'm not with
That's a bad word.
So yeah, there's a
that
bad
probably
word.
is not acceptable on YouTube, I'm guessing.
You're saying cryptocurrency?
Exactly.
No.
Oh.
You probably go beep and all this. Yeah. So at least for those around my age, a lot of them tend to chase all this.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, different people, different lifestyles, different way of doing things. But I think in general, I try to live as comfortable as I can, because I think the level of comfortability is very different. For me, it's very simple.
Yeah.
I came from a poor family. Okay, I'm not saying that I want to stay poor.
Right.
I came from a poor family, but today I have enough to eat. I have a good place to sleep. I got 2 kids. I'm comfortable with whatever I have. I think that level of expectation is already met. So I'm not going to go crazy over the rest of the stuff. So if you ask me like, how's life in Singapore? Okay, let me just explain. I stay in the 4-room flat. 4-room flats means that there are 3 bedrooms. Okay, one master rooms, and then the other one is for kids, and then the other one is for appropriate study room, that kind of size. Okay, and then an appropriate size for living room, everything. Okay, I bought it around 200,000 Sing. Okay, you can convert it into 1.33 or something. Okay,
right.
Nothing of it. I bought it 200,000 Sing in year 2004. Okay, that's I bought a house. I started my own business. Okay, today it's worth almost $500,000.
Yeah.
Sing
It's a
dollar.
good investment.
No. Okay.
No?
Not
a
really.
good investment.
Okay, let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because as the price goes up, it means that every building goes up. Every property in the country goes up. Because why? We are an island.
Yeah.
As long as you're an island, the price of certain things will always go up. Food will always go up. Property will always go up. Salary will always go up. Cost of living, standard of living will always go up because we are an island. When you're an island, things are easier to manage. Okay, and you got no land to expand, but to go up.
Right.
So when you stay in a property like a public house, the price will always go up. But if you try to sell it off and try to live in other place, it means that you are essentially paying a lot more also.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Singaporeans in general are chasing. Again, nothing wrong. It's just a different people. They are
Yeah.
all chasing to get a bigger house, to chase to get a better car. So Tesla just came to Singapore very recently.
Mm.
You know, and the thing is that you'll be surprised. The car that we can have is only for 10 years only.
You're only allowed to keep it for 10 years.
Yes, and most of us don't even drive for 10 years. So
Yeah.
let's say you have a car, you
Mhm.
need to purchase a certificate to own the car.
Ah.
Okay, so let's say in US dollar, the car may probably cost you, let's say for example, 60,000 USD.
Yes, that's
Okay.
about correct. Yep.
The cost of car can be quite expensive. If you plus the certificate, the
Mhm.
certificate can cost you 30,000 USD. And
Mhm.
it's a piece of paper to say that you can drive the car for next 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that piece of paper, 30,000, fluctuate up and down according to demand.
Interesting. Well, is
And
the
then-
idea they don't want 6 million cars clogging up the city? Is that the...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then when you drive the car, by the time you hit about probably the 6-7 years,
Yeah.
a lot of people would tend to sort of sell it away.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
you're executing a more efficient and economical life than a lot of Singaporeans who are chasing prestigious lifestyles. Is that a fair way to
Yes,
sum it up?
Yeah, it is a very. I being used of because I'm a businessman. I see myself as a businessman.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. Singapore currency, which is we call it Sing dollar,
Yeah.
is very strong among the surrounding country.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's very strong around the surrounding country, shouldn't you make use of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do I mean? Okay. For example, Singapore to Malaysia, which is just across,
Yeah.
is 1 to 3.
Right.
So 1 Sing dollar is about $3 there.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 Sing dollar to Thailand is about 20 times more.
Mm-hmm.
So when that is the case, like Malaysia, Thailand, they are not an island. They are they're a huge country. So theoretically, or from a financial point of view, if you were to buy properties there
Mm-hmm.
versus buying property here, the cost is actually a fraction of it only.
Mm-hmm. Is
Yeah.
there a way for you to buy land in Thailand? Like, could you buy?
Yeah.
What is it? Are you planning to retire?
Some properties actually open up for foreigners to buy.
Yeah.
And we can always set up companies there running businesses and then using the companies to buy also to acquire private properties and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What would be kind of the high level pros and cons of that? Meaning, or is there like if say you have property in Thailand and you live in Singapore, are you going to have to pay taxes in both, or any profit that say you rent out the place in Thailand? Do you?
Yes. You have to. I think this is where. By the way, this one don't have a flag anymore. But
Okay.
I think that the thing is that I always believe if you're in that country, follow the law there. I think this is important. If you need to pay for property tax, you need to pay for rental, you need to pay for whatever. Let's say you're using Airbnb, I think just pay the appropriate amount, whatever they call for. No point to muck around trying to circumvent the whole entire thing and then try to get into trouble. So yeah.
If you're going to be an international businessman, follow the rules of whatever country you're operating in.
Is there any?
Because sorry.
Would there be any advice? Kind of like, I mean, I guess if I'm Vietnamese, I have a dual citizenship. If I were, I guess it's a general question. If I were to buy property in Vietnam, is there something that you being an international property owner, is there something that you see that's usually challenging? Like, so would I have to go to the Vietnamese government website and find all the tax paperwork and then follow the laws that way? Is that something that you see yourself having to deal with that you didn't expect when you bought property?
Okay. I did I used a slightly more different way. I always believe this is a philosophy that I always believe in. If you have money, but you don't have time.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have time but no money,
Yeah.
swap it. If I have money, I don't have time. I will probably get an agent, a slightly premium agent, okay, to do everything for me. Why?
Okay.
It may actually save me a lot of trouble later down the road.
Yeah.
I do know of friends like for example like Vietnam. you can't just go in and say, hey, I like this shop house, and then just buy.
Yeah.
It doesn't work this way. Okay.
Right.
It's not a supermarket where you can just pick and choose and then just buy and walk away. But in fact, it is more like, you have to look at, is that property in a certain zone? Yeah. Does it allow foreigners to own it? If it's a foreigners to own it, what kind of foreigners? Is there any restrictions? Or is there things like, could it be better for me to use a company to acquire it? And if that is, what is the property tax? What are the tax that I need to file and stuff like that? So usually I will go for a more an agent who is a bit more experienced, pay a bit of a premium, let him or her sort out everything for me. Okay, and then before I do the purchase, that will probably save me a potential lawsuit, because I do have friends who's like, hey, it's so easy. Then they try to fix it themselves, try to save a couple of $1,000s.
Yeah.
And by the time they sort of got it, no problem. 5-10 years later, one day when they're about to fly out of the country or when they're about to fly into the country, they got flagged. They got flagged at the immigration that you've been evading tax for the number of years. And then get yourself into a lot of legal lawsuits, which will probably not worth the money. This is how I see it.
Yeah, with my wife, we did the F1 visa, I think it's called K1 or F1 visa, and I did all the paperwork myself. And I'm kind of there's times where I'm like, damn, should I have gotten a lawyer and hired someone to do the paperwork, because I'm fearful if I do something wrong, But as far as so far, everything seems to be working out. She's got her green card, and we're waiting to the point where she could get her the next green card, then her citizenship. But each round, I'm just slightly fearful that I'm going to do something wrong, even though I'm reading every document like 5 or 10 times.
Yeah, it's a sort of a transaction that you don't get any practice at. So you're doing it's a big deal. It's there's a lot at stake, and then you're trying it for the first time. So that's I'm totally relating, because as a realtor, like that's the biggest value, is that, hey, I get to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you how to do it and what mistakes to avoid, because I see it all the time. So when you step into a new world and try something for the first time, that is scary, because you don't know, like, hey, I don't have the experience to know where I'm misstepping.
Yeah.
If at all.
Just this totally a random question, totally tangent. Speaking of kind of international investments, and I started thinking about Singapore. Like, is there a stock? Does Singapore have its own stock market? I'm imagining most countries have their own stock market. Is it like when you say a good year in the stock market in the U.S. is you could hope that you could make 10%. That's a great year, kind of thing.
Sure.
That seems to be. So I'm thinking, does the Singapore market kind of have a similarity to that? I don't know how to ask that or how to word it.
I tell you, Singapore market is terrible.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, because we are very small. We are very, very, very small. In fact,
I wasn't expecting this answer. I'll keep on going.
No, I don't play the stock market, but I do observe.
Yeah.
It's not. It's I think the more in terms of liquidity, in terms of the the trend and all these more players coming into it. In fact, a lot of companies are avoiding Singapore to do listing on their SGX. I think fee is one thing. It's actually very high. And also, if you're talking about liquidity, I think Australia is probably the more popular one. In fact, a lot of companies here in Singapore do get listed themselves. They all can always do some magic and stuff like that, get themselves listed in Australia. Even in fact, a couple of years back, Hong Kong was actually one of those popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a bit chaotic now. So in terms of the investors, the kind of confidence is not as high now for Hong Kong. But not for Singapore. I personally I don't see it. It's the market is just too small. And especially now with the COVID, still everybody's still digging ourselves out. So I don't think there will be any of the major movement that has been sort of stalled for the past few years. Yeah.
Yeah. So Singapore is a very unique country that's the size of a city, right? So hard to scale it to what bigger countries.
So my train of thought, which it's kind of blown up now, I can't really ask it, was the money that you're taking to do in international properties. Would it be the same profit if you did in the local stock market. So meaning, so my train of thought, okay, so say I got $10,000 that I want to invest. That's probably not enough to buy property in another country. Say I have $100,000 I want to invest. So I got my options. My options here are kind of put it in the stock market in the U.S., put in cryptocurrency, put it in towards a property in the U.S. But 100,000 doesn't really. You'd have to go probably to some smaller state to buy property at 100,000. But then another option then is international stock markets or international property. So that was kind of my train of thought of all this. Why I was asking.
Oh, okay. Don't buy Singapore stock. It's very volatile.
I think it also depends on what is the payout that you're looking at. I mean,
yeah.
So if
in the stock market, you probably hold for a while. But if you're talking about property, you're probably trying to do all your Airbnb and stuff like that. I think that is probably where you can try to get as much returns as possible. But the problem here is that now it's still considered quite a good time to buy. Partly it's because if you invest in a couple of good properties and all this, especially location,
Yeah.
You probably have to wait for the tourism to come back. Once the tourists start coming back, I think this is where the market will boom. So it's either you invest it much earlier during the pandemic where everybody is just jumping off the roof.
Yeah.
You can probably buy cheaper. Now it's still not that expensive because there's still a lot of restrictions here and there. But if you were to enter now on property, you will probably be able to hold for a while for the the tourists to come back. But if I have 100,000, I will go for crypto.
Okay. I was gonna ask 500,000. If I had a magic wand and was gonna give you 500,000 to invest, what would you choose? So crypto, is that what you would choose right now?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the when a lot of people talk about.
Much.
Well, okay. So answer that question for 100,000 and answer that question for 500,000.
Okay. You're talking about pure investment, like whether is it Bitcoin, Ether, ADA, XRP, blah 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 blah, and stuff like that. You're talking about purely buying. I will probably just go and buy the Bitcoin and then just that's it. I'll probably just put everything all in, okay, and then stick it. Okay, stick it and then just forget about it. I mean, I can stomach the up and down. I think that one is still quite okay because they've been having it quite often, and so I think I will do that. But however, if it's 500,000, I will probably not put all in. I will probably try to split it up because you see the thing is that in terms of crypto investment, a lot of people always think of buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum, blah 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 blah, and all this. Nothing wrong, but you may also want to look into other services that are up and coming, especially where a lot of GameFi, DeFi. I won't go into those. They're all upcoming. So it doesn't mean that you buy in one Bitcoin. Okay, I mean buying in Bitcoin and then that's it, because there are metaverse coming up, there are Web3 coming up. So there can be a lot of there can be small little players that you feel that you can probably spread the money. Yeah. So some of them can go into buying their tokens. When they do an IEO, buy their tokens, and then when they rise, they are not talking about rising like 1-2 times. It can easily go up to 10-20 times. So I will probably go into those. Just to declare.
Some longer shots.
Yeah, it's a longer shot. I'm also an advisor for a couple of these crypto-related business. I've been in this for 5-10 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it Crypto Index? Is that one of the? Are you still part of that, or did I name that correctly?
No, it's not. It's not. I'm involved in. Okay, here's the thing. I'm more of the business structuring guy. So sad to say, some of these companies that they shout to the world, hey, I'm doing a tokens, I'm doing an ICO, I'm doing an STO. But if you deep dive into it, you look at this white paper, it's probably written by some kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Some 5-year-old kid, So
they're like 18-year-old kids.
So usually I will go in and then I will try to look into the business model. If it's something interesting, I may invest in it. If it's not, then I'll probably just tell them, hey, I mean, if I'm interested, I tell them, hey, there are a lot of loopholes that we are doing. And after you get the money, how in the world are you really going to roll it out? So there are a lot of things that actually I do spend some time. I mean, just to declare, I'm involved in one of the company that recently just announced. called Revoland, Revoland. They are the first. Okay, they are very big in Asia. They are the first to be listed in Huawei's cloud service.
Okay.
Okay, I know Huawei is not really in US,
Yeah.
but they
That's
are
in
in
trouble.
the rest of the world. Yeah, they are in the rest of the world. So they actually listed themselves as a GameFi game. It's a GameFi. So they put it up, and Huawei is just one of the partner they work with. So I'm actually the advisor to them, and this is more on the GameFi, pay to earn. So that's why if given $500,000, I'll probably invest in some of these up and coming companies.
Exciting technologies.
Would you do like 400,000 into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then or of that 500,000, spend 400,000 on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then 100,000 on those long shots? Or
I'll probably do a 50, 30, 20. 50 on the Bitcoin. Okay. 30 on all those that they already have certain products ready to launch or ready to announce. That will be the 30%. Then the other 20% will be all those that is super high risk. Means it's a 80-20 rules. Because if I would put a good bet on them, and then I can sort of structure the business for them, and when they scale, that 20% probably can give me multiplier. Huge multiplier. Yeah.
Is this the part where we tell the listening audience that we are not financial advisors?
So, Paddy, we're also all three of us, Joe, Emmett, and I. We're all pro crypto. We like crypto a lot. I love crypto. Emmett's just
love money.
Yeah, he's just greedy. And then, so for the YouTube and audio listeners, we are not financial advisors. This is not a financial advice. This is educational purposes only. Do your own research. But I highly suggest buying Ethereum.
No, you can't suggest.
Joe, for fun, what would you do with 500,000? How would you? Yeah.
I'd probably produce a short horror movie
About cryptocurrency.
Possibly. You know,
guys-
maybe the protagonist loses everything, and something like that, or maybe he gains everything and it goes to his head, and
He finds
he
his
starts
private
alienating
keys.
his family and friends, and
He finds
spirals
his
out of
private
control.
keys right before he gets killed.
yeah, exactly.
All right, Emmett, how about you? 500,000.
Oh, you guys are stupid. The whole goal of cryptocurrency is to get the Lamborghini. If you got 500, you can go get the Lamborghini. Duh.
No,
You
realistically,
go straight to the point.
really, what would you do with 500,000 to invest?
Did you not
right
hear
now?
the man? He said he'd get a Lambo. I don't think he
They
stuttered.
don't go down in value. They go faster.
Yeah, until you crash it. You seem to be the kind of guy that would crash it, to be honest. No offense.
And walk away laughing as it burns down to the ground.
No,
By
seriously.
the
would
way,
you-
Lamborghini is not fun to ride. If you're tall like me, okay, I can't.
It's
I
made
tried
for
a few
small
times.
Italians.
The Porsche, those kind of stuff. So when
Yeah.
I try to squeeze myself because I'm tall, so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can literally sort of see your kneecap when you're driving. Because that's
That
not
is
a
frustrating.
comfort way. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. My Toyota Camry has a lot of go in it. I'd probably stick with my Camry.
Mhm.
It's pretty reliable,
Yeah. That's a tough one because I'm in pretty good shape. I'm in the general mindset of accumulating, appreciating assets. So I think if you're grabbing up appreciating assets and holding on to them, then there's probably not a terrible move to make. So I like buying S&P 500 stocks through Vanguard because it's very low fees. I like buying property when I can, so real estate property, because it generally goes up in value and you can rent it out and the rents go up. So if you become a landlord in a way, there's a lot of talk of Airbnb because you can get those high rates, and if you can keep the place rented out, then you can make a lot more than say a house or an apartment or whatever, right? Or at a condo, you can Airbnb it out and make a lot more per month. But it's also a lot more work and hassle too. Like you got to deal with people and be their friend and clean the place up, and so it's, to me, that's more of operating a hotel business than buying an appreciating asset, right? So I want to buy stuff that's just going to go up in value on its own. So as far as I know, buying the overall stock market, very, very secure long-term plan. Buying real estate, hard to lose. in the long run. And then cryptocurrency is actually the wildest of my 3 bets is, buy some cryptocurrency and hold on to it, which has been working out. So any more of that would be what I would do with 500 grand. But I mean, I'm almost at a point where like, well, shit, why don't I do something fun with $500,000?
Yeah, right. That's why I'd make a movie, man. Fuck it. There's a small but non-zero chance I could make money off of it. Sell that shit to Netflix,
So actually, my answer is kind of similar. Where I think both you guys are actually getting to I want to try to condense it into a couple sentences if I can. You want to invest into appreciating assets, but there's a point where you got to choose your lifestyle of fun. Meaning, I don't want to. I think I don't want to talk about my finances right now. But if someone has a certain point in their life, they don't have any stocks, no crypto, and no house. I think I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. YouTube. But I think I would suggest the first one is getting into crypto because you can buy $5. A house is kind of you have to get to a point where you got to throw a $20,000 down or a $30,000 down, or at least you got to get to a point where you have a substantial monthly income that you could put towards a mortgage too. So that I'm not. If you could get into a house, you probably could put some money into crypto first, a little bit.
Sure.
Whatever the amount, whatever is comfortable to somebody, like whether they end up putting 20,000 in crypto first and then get to the house, whatever. But so then I would, so with 500,000, depending on where you are in your life, it's like get crypto, house, and then stocks, and then just keep on moving that. And then once you get enough where you're comfortable, quote unquote, comfortable to everybody's own perspective, what they're comfortable with, then start doing things like Joe, make a movie, or Emmett and Liem get drones and a shotgun and start shooting them and filming it and be crazy, or live some type of Dan Bilzerian life. So that's kind of
I'll put a little bit of my money aside for that too. I still like that idea, the drone hunting.
I think the funny thing is that when you do reach that level, you may not have like a sudden, 500,000 just pop on your table. I mean, it may happen, but I think it's sort of like, are you talking about money that you just suddenly gain overnight, or is it something that you accumulate over time? Because I think one of the things that of course everybody can dream. It's like, hey, what happened if you have 500,000? What happened if you have
that's why I buy lottery tickets.
I think it's because now we don't have, so we thought of it, we think about it. But the fact of the matter here is that when you do have, I don't know. I mean, you may not. You may think of the conversation that you had. I told myself that I wanted to buy a Tesla, and then let it auto drive down the cliff, just to see how it burns. The kind of stuff.
Whoa.
But when you do have the kind of money, I don't know. I mean, I saw a few companies. To be honest, I saw a few companies. Lots of if someone say, hey, it's because of sheer luck. I said, try doing it yourself. It's never sheer luck. It's tough. It's really, really tough because you're away from the families, away from. I got 2 young kids, 7 and 11. Okay, so you got to be away, and then you got to spend time, where everybody is sleeping, where everybody is, going about their normal life. Your 8 to 5 work. And you work around the clock. Because to me, I want to compress. I don't want to work 50 years. I don't want. So I want to compress it into probably 10, 20 years. Which is why when I first started my company in 2005, first business and everything, I told myself, hey, I want to probably retire around 40 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then now I'm 47. So when I hit 40, it was like, okay, I look back. Okay, I have enough. But then it's never about the money anymore.
now you're a workaholic.
Yeah, it's like I want to prepare for the next generation. So not kids, I mean generation of successors to take over some of the businesses. I'm a bit weird in the sense that once you make your money, you probably just move on. But to me, it's never about the money now. I'm not saying that I don't like money. Everybody who will complain too little or too much, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I now what I'm trying to do is that I will try to identify folks that are really good, believe in what I believe in, compress the 50 years into 10, 20 years. I will train them up and then bring them up. So
Yeah.
once you bring them up, I'm a bit old school. To me, it's like one of the reasons why I can't really communicate very well with my dad, or just like anybody else, is because we live in a very different era. You know, when you're exposed to that whatever environment, and then as life goes on, you know, you tend to see things your way. And then so similarly to me, like even though I'm now 47, I could say best of my life now, because you know, you got your internet, you got AR, you got VR, you got space travel, you got a lot of things. But then again,
it's amazing.
it's amazing, right? I mean, in 10, 20 years, you get all this. But I do know that in the next 10 years, 20 years, when my kids grow up, they and me are probably going to be in a very different world. You know, to us, today is a space exploration. Wow. Because like when you were a kid, you always thought that only happens in the Jacksons. That also only happened in Star Wars. But moving forwards for them is 20 years later, they will probably see as, wow, it's nothing, because like we already got space exploration when I was 7 years old. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to train a bunch of successors come up, so that when they reach a certain age, they may have kids. Okay.
Yeah.
And my kids could have grown up, and whatever I learn, whatever my train of thoughts, whatever, you know, some values, I can pass it down to them as the successor. Hopefully they can be the bridge to pass it down to my kids. And hopefully my kids can pass it down to their kids. I know sounds a bit Asian, sounds a bit Chinese, but I think this is where values can pass down, or at least certain aspects of you know, how to run the business, you know, stuff like that. Because it's like, okay, a lot of people say, I want to make $1 million. Sure, sell it to 1 million people, make $1 each, you can make $1 million. And a lot of people are like, oh wow, it's easy for you to say. But how? But what about if you go to a country like Indonesia, where there are 275 million people, and you sell one thing to 1 million of them? You think about it. If you look at the absolute number, in Indonesia there are 275 million. Okay, we don't talk about US or China. Okay,
right.
And if you have something that you can sell it to them and make $1 each, and you can probably, or maybe you sell, I don't know, $2, you make a profit of $1. You can make 1 million just like that. Now the question is,
what do they all want right now?
So now the question is, how do you reach 1 million people? This is always a question. I'm sharing about the people, product, process. So the top process will be, how do I reach 1 million? Now here's the thing: it's very difficult for you to reach out 1 million, but it's not difficult for 1 million to reach out to you. Okay. So what do I mean?
How are they going to find me?
You, one person, chase 1 million people. Let's say even if you invest an hour with them, you probably got to spend 1 hour per person for 1 million times.
That's 1 million hours.
That's 1 million hours. Okay.
Dude, I want to be like 63 years old by then.
Yeah, you did. But it is not difficult for them to spend 1 hour on you individually. So that is why I feel that the world that we are living in now, with the internet, with, you know, a lot of stuff, social media and everything, it's probably not difficult for 1 million people to know you, rather than you know 1 million people. So if that is the case, then what makes it so difficult that people are always feel that they cannot accomplish? My thing here is that run a business, run a startup, start some business, fail it. Eventually you will figure out the answer. I don't have an answer, but I can tell you there will be an easier way to get $1 million if you want to be a millionaire. So for example, let's say, a case in point, this podcast. Okay, you'll be like, okay, my podcast maybe have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers. Okay, how do I push it up to 1 million?
Right.
So, but at least you know that if you have good content, that 10,000 followers will spread the words. And say, hey, these guys are funny, man. You know, they give you lots of good insights. And when that happens, the word of mouth helps. And then when the word of mouth helps, the people who comes in, they don't have to think of, should I even spend time invest in this guy? Because if they trust a fellow who told them, they will probably trust you into certain aspects.
Now we just need all of them to give us $5.
Or maybe $2.
Okay.
So when you have something that's in a digital format that you can actually share, I think that's interesting. So coming back to Mark's earlier question, so why I spend so much time on black storms, you know, the kind of stuff, is because if you look at it, even someone pay us, let's say 10, 20, 30,000 per month.
Yeah.
Okay, and you do your math. We only do 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine you do it for 3 months, 5 months. Okay,
Yeah.
Example, if it's a Saturday, Sunday. Okay,
Sure.
so
Yeah.
let's say if I do 5 months, I charge 20,000 US. So I'm only making 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I really care about 100,000? Well, I got people to run, I got people to feed, but the
Mhm.
100,000 doesn't get me big profit. It doesn't give me big profit because it's not cheap,
Mm.
living, staying here in Asia, at least especially in Singapore. But however, you gain the trust of the client,
Mm-hmm.
which is not the 100,000 you can something that you can buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once they trust you, when they invest things like $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million,
Yeah.
what is that? What is that 20,000 that they have paid you to give them advice that can make them another $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
So that this is the value that I'm bringing on. So let's say if I have 10 of such clientele
Yeah.
who believe that paying me small amount but get good advice and get good executions and they can make more of it, I think the credit goes to them.
Yeah.
But to them it's that when they see it, they take it, they will also at the same time, why not I just put these guys on the retainer fee?
Yeah. So you're basically putting the value into your company.
Yes. So if let's say I have 10 clients who see the value in me and give me $20,000 each on the
Mhm.
retainer, okay, of course we have to do something. We just not gonna put
You got to provide value.
do
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So you have like 10 clientele, averagely they give you $20,000. You can probably get 100,000 per month.
Mm.
And then when you get $100,000 per month, you are not going to take the money for nothing. You are going to constantly improve yourself so that when the moment they have things that they need to be solved, or you can actually prepare things that they may need in the future without them knowing it,
Yeah.
you prepare. And then with that information, with that executions, they can probably make another 2 million, 3 million, 5 million.
Yeah.
So the $1 million that they make versus the 20,000 that they give to you is small and big, but everybody earns.
Right. Everybody
And
wins.
everybody wins. So if you get 100,000, let's say for 10 clients or 200,000 from 10 clients, you continue with it. And then from that money that you have, you can actually invest in other companies who can provide you information, not insights, okay? Insights that
Right.
you can actually
Insight.
insights somehow that you can generate to become higher value, and then
Yeah.
you can provide to them. So when you run in that kind of scale, then you look at it, it's like, wow, I can actually make $1 million.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's what I meant by a million person putting $1 million to you versus you trying to get out 1 million people.
Yeah. Paddy's about being in the game and being in the industry and doing the work.
Yeah.
It's not about magically finding $500,000, Liem.
My magic wand is not good for Paddy. All right. We're going to go into the final question section.
Bum, bum.
First question for you, Paddy. What great daily habit or habits do you have?
Work while the children are sleeping.
I can wake up early. I think this okay. This is not your gratitude or whatever nonsense. It's just I can get up early. Send my kids to school. If I'm not traveling, I send my kids to school, and then after that, once they're in schools, I will go exercise, and that's my Zen time. Just go to the gym, because when you're 47 years old, even breathe. It's just breathing. You can get fat. Okay.
Yeah.
You get fat just by breathing. Okay. So I go to the gym and everything. So this is my Zen time, meaning that when I'm in the gym for an hour, whether is it I'm carrying dumbbell or walking around, and stuff like that. That's where I actually will read a bunch of emails, a bunch of to-dos, all this. That's my superpower, I call it. I don't read on the phone. I will just, before I go to the gym, I'll just run through everything. Okay, then during the Zen time where I'm carrying weight, because when you're carrying weight, you're focusing on the muscles or fats. Okay.
Yeah.
So your brain is actually, other than doing counting, you don't really do anything, right?
Yeah.
So I use that to process all the challenges, all the emails and everything that I will probably need to intertwine them together. Okay. By the time I'm done, I'll probably go back home. Then on the way, I'll try to structure which are the things to answer, which are the things not to answer. And then the moment I reach home, shower, of course, if not my wife will kill me. Shower and everything. And then I will just probably take the next 20 minutes to identify all. I mean, I could have already identified what are the things. I will quickly reply everything, and then I try to intertwine together. One of the other things that I'm really good in is that because I run so many businesses, I don't see them as silo. I see them as the whole entire system. So I can actually make use of, let's say, for example, someone wants to enter into a medical industry. Okay, they are from Taiwan. They want to enter into Malaysia, let's say, medical industry. I may not have the contact, but I will probably be able to find ways and then link them up to who's who and everything. And by the time the next 20 minutes, I will probably put up 80-20. I believe strongly in the Pareto principles, 80-20. So I use the 20 minutes to just blast out all the necessary things.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next 80% of the time will probably be focusing on a lot of engagement, calls and stuff like that. And I got quite a good photographic memory. I can count fast.
Wait, all this time you had a photographic memory? You didn't tell us?
What?
You said you have a photographic memory? Isn't that awesome superpower?
It's okay. It's not the most fantastic. It's just that you can actually turn things into sequence.
Yeah.
So when you turn things into sequence, you visualize it. And then when you visualize it, because honestly, our brain is actually pretty much useless, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you only use a certain percentage of it. So I will just store onto them.
Okay.
Then when you need, you just pull it out. So that's how I sort of like drive my folks crazy.
Yeah.
By telling them, hey, this is what you miss out. These are the gaps. So I can identify this, and then so that why? Because this is what I'm very good in. Okay, I'm very good in structuring. So when I'm good in structuring, your brain tend to function a bit different. And for folks who are actually not very good in, I'm not going to make their life difficult. I will just tell them this is what you need to do, and you train them up, and over time they will get better. Okay, but sad to say, I'm very bad in ops. Okay?
Operations.
Anything like, I don't mind paying, but I hate getting the receipt, and then I need to do the claims.
Yeah.
I hate those. And then you ask me to write proposals, ask me to do all the PowerPoints and stuff like that. I'm very, very bad. So things that I'm not good in, I will usually look for a partner who is very good in. Then we fit each other like a jigsaw.
Nice.
Then she will. Yeah, usually he or she will do all those that she enjoy doing it, whereas I hate it.
Right.
Kind of back to your starting point back in the beginning of the podcast where you're saying, don't focus on your weaknesses. Do the things you're good at, and then kind of figure out ways to augment your weaknesses.
Yep, correct.
Okay. So
another thing that I really like it is that I can read very fast.
Yeah.
It's a matter I want to read or don't want. But if I read, I usually go speed reading.
Yeah.
I don't read storybooks unless it's Star Wars. Selected authors. Okay. But I usually like to read self-improvement book, business books, or biography and everything. But here's a trick that I learned. If you have some money when you're young, invest in speed reading. Get a professional to teach you about speed reading, because it can save you a lot of things.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
time over your life.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Speed reading.
And you force your brain to process very, very fast.
By any chance, so I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna rebuttal your topic, but just I'm not trying to. Anyway, so I've in the corporate world, when I work in a cubicle and I'm a programmer, there's a lot of emails that go back and forth on the specs of the software, and I have to ask the client what they want. I have to ask the director of my company, like, hey, can we do this for the client? And then sometimes the manager will come back and say, oh, well, I think this will help, and then I have to figure it all out and say it's not going to help. Now, some of those directors, whether they're stupid or they don't have enough time or they attempt to speed read, I actually feel like, so one of my directors, I use their advice now. They say, try to get your main point in the first sentence, because other directors, they'll read the first sentence and they don't read everything else. It's really hard as a software engineer when I'm trying to coordinate the client, the business, thinking about the time that many developers are going to spend to consolidate in a very important point to one sentence only. So now I'm wondering if those people are trying to speed read emails, and I'm like, I get so frustrated. It's very complex things that I'm trying to do, and then the managers or other people, directors.
You're going to be later in Paddy's 20% time. You're not going to be knocked out in the 80%.
Yeah, I think for speed reading is probably not to be applicable in everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emails you can't speed read, because the reason why you want to speed read is provided that you have a whole chunk of data or information that you want to compress it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think email should be read like a novel. You know,
Yeah.
like 5 parts, 10 parts. If anything that goes on and on, you probably don't want to use email. Maybe you want to use Slack, Basecamp. You know, where we can sort of like break the whole thing into parts.
Mhm.
I think that would be okay. I use a lot of tools. I use a lot of gadgets and stuff like that. So excuse me. So let's say, for example, if hang on,
No, you're good.
yeah, I think thumbs up.
So I think Paddy advocates for business meditation weightlifting. You're gonna read your emails, but don't do anything yet. You're gonna churn through them while you're pumping iron.
On some certain types of work is I think that is I could see benefits of that, but it depends on the work. If you're a help desk call person,
Yeah.
and you're taking a lot of phone calls at the spot and closing out phone
No,
calls.
he's an international multi-business mogul.
Yeah, no. I'm saying
Yeah.
yeah. For that type of work, I could see that helping out, and
Yeah.
even actually programming, because a lot of things I have to think about many hours before I figure out the answer sometimes. So
You know, big picture.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think okay, just to add on, okay, like certain things, as I mentioned, I use a lot of tools. So to help me to okay, of course I'm still learning, I'm still figuring out, because I always don't have time. So a lot of tools that are speech to text, I do that a lot.
Mm.
So even like WhatsApp, emails, text and stuff like that. I okay, because I'm not a very good ops guy, so I don't really care about spellings. I don't really care about, but I will just probably click it, speech to text, and then I will just say whatever I want on the email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, blah 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 blah. You will just type out everything. Not everything is correct, because we every one of us enunciate different.
Right.
But but at least I get my thoughts across.
Yeah.
Then I can spend some time to just do some editing, which editing, you don't really have to edit each and every of the words, because these days you got like Grammarly,
Yeah.
which is a fantastic. You can buy the premium one. They will tell you, hey, this sentence structure is actually not so good. The kind of thing. So to me, it's that I'm not in a school anymore, so I don't have to go grammatically correct the use of correct vocabulary. But at least you spend some money like Grammarly. Then you got some AI bots, you got some assistant, so they can sort things out for you. So to me, it's like, okay, just do all this, write all this, and then you get the point across. And because of my my position, it would be a disaster if someone would come in and ask me about technical thing. They want me to type it out. I will never do that. I will probably just call that fella. Hey, I tell you what, give me the login. Use the team viewer. I log in, then share screen, and then I do for you, and then that's it. And then, or if not, there's something that require a lot of reading. I own. I'll just do an audio record. Now then, these are the 3 points I want to tell you. Point A, point B, point C. These are the 3 things. Okay. Then I'll send the records in 3 parts of it, which I explain. Point A is about go for another few more minutes, which is why it's good. Some of the apps that we use, they restrict you to only 5 minutes. So you sort of force yourself that you have to push everything out within the 5 minutes. Okay. So you sort of
I think you're a time junkie, Paddy. You always want to be in a race.
It's fun. It's fun. so when you do that, you send it over. Then the fella can always store into it, and in fact, a lot of things that, like for example, like now, there's a war going on, in Ukraine and Russia.
Yes.
There's about 56, 57 days already.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like sometimes when I want to put certain thing across, I'll just do it as one audio, single audio. After I do the single audio, then from there I will send it out to different people.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to keep repeating and repeating and repeating.
Wait, what does that have to do with the war? Or are you saying it doesn't take you 56 days to get shit done?
No. Like for example, now you're looking at what is the US president trying to do? Is China going to be up and coming to do to handle the Ukraine war? Probably not, because Shanghai is in trouble. Lots of cities are in trouble with the COVID. They did a huge lockdown. So when there's so many lockdown, logistically it's going to be a nightmare. So if they're going to make any big movement, are they going to attack Taiwan? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? So you can actually look at it from a micro to a macro level. So from a very strategic point of view, it helps in terms of the strategizing companies. So like now, if you ask me, hey, Paddy, is it actually a good time to enter into Malaysia? Is it actually a good time to enter into Thailand? That kind of stuff. So from there, you're like, okay, either you look at the, you look at what is going on. Then you were like, okay, maybe this is things that may or may not happen. Yeah. So because we are fixing problem, the last thing that you want to do is that the world is evolving, and then you just put your head submerged in the water, do not know what's going on. So for me, I read a lot. Because I read a lot, like for example, I'm a bit crazy. I subscribe to like 15 newspaper, paid premium one. So yeah. so it can be same topic, but different authors writes it, and different people sees it, and different people view it. Right. Like case in point. Let's not go into the race of political stuff. But like like between China, Ukraine, Russia, Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, these are all the main news that is going on. So different people give different perspective. So I try to read all of them, and I don't like to read newspaper from page 1 to the last page. I like to jump. I got jump newspaper. Okay, yeah, it's a bit crazy. Like let's say today topic is about Ukraine sunk a warship, in Russia.
The biggest warship.
Yeah, probably like, to us it's like, hey, there's actually no impact. No, not really. Yeah. Okay, why? So I'll probably read from a certain perspective. And then after that, from let's say FT, Financial Times. Then I'll probably read Newsweek or Guardian. So it may probably be on the same ship, but you will probably be able to see things progress. And you know what? When you do that, just imagine Putin or whatever, okay, he may be like, damn it, this is my prize ship.
The flagship.
Pride. It's my pride, it's my reputation, everything. So when he do something crazy, maybe.
Right.
Okay. And when that happens, how is the world going to react? So I think these are the few things from a very strategic point of view, especially when you're dealing with customers or clientele who need to fix a problem. Because there may be external factors that we may not be able to control, but there are external cushions that we can probably shoot it off.
Okay, so good daily habit is assimilate all the information from around the world.
Yeah.
So that you can read the best. Yes, read as fast as possible.
All right, we're going to jump to the next question.
Wait, I want to test his Star Wars knowledge.
Go for it.
Which squadron went kamikaze at Scarif to support Rogue One down on the ground?
Oh my God.
You said you were reading all the Star Wars stuff.
He's a speed reader. He gets the gist of it, not the details. I don't know.
I can tell you, I do not know. I'm very honest about this. Yeah.
Blue Squadron, best squadron ever.
I don't chase all the, because it's just too many stories already. Before birth, after birth, my God, man.
All right.
Blue Squadron forever.
The next question, I'm going to change the wording of it. The next question usually is, what do you know or think of cryptocurrency? But it sounds like you already know a little bit of cryptocurrency. So I'm going to change the question to, what do you think is the most important thing of cryptocurrency?
Utilizations. I think this is where the industry is always struggling, because there's always questions like, okay, so what's the point of a Bitcoin? Okay, I rather the question should turn into what's the purpose of cryptocurrency? Okay, I think there are many purposes, and these are very real. Okay, like case in point, Ukraine and Russia war. Okay, Russians are stuck. Russians are on traveling, especially in Asia. Lots of them are actually stuck in Thailand and Bali. So ended up they have no access to their money, whatever money they do have the money in the bank, but they have no access. But however, crypto is virtual. So you can actually access it anywhere, everywhere. But of course, I'm trying to convert it to fiat. That's another story. But I think the utilizations is something that the industry will have to figure it out. Do we have an answer now? I think it's no, because there are too many products out in the market, and a lot of them ride on fact. Riding on this, and but just like any other things, just like any other things in life, a lot of things actually start with all the fact first. Like for example, suddenly everybody talk about, hey, let's do a keto.
Let's make our own coin.
Yeah, and a lot of this, and then you need to have mistakes to be made. So those who believe in it, go with it, and of course they can probably make a lot. But those who do not believe, you can always step on the side, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think eventually, until the stage where cryptocurrencies can really make a very clear, defined utilizations, I think it will always be that same group of people who believe in it, and there will always be that same group of people who don't believe in it. The fact of the matter is that you don't really have to get two groups to agree. I think this is what crypto industry is now facing. The folks who believe in it always try to get the folks who don't believe in it to believe. No, I see it as like a religion.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. If you believe in it, sure, by all means, go ahead with it. I think the bottom line here is that what is the underlying? Is it the utilizations? Because if you're like buying an NFT, just like now, lots of people say, hey, Bored Apes, I buy an NFT. Sure. Yeah, but what's the utilizations? For those, I will never buy. But I will buy those who provide me exclusivity to a club, exclusivity to not strip club, but exclusivity to a certain access to maybe some of the smartest guy in the world, able to hear his podcast, able to go to an event and stuff like that. I think I will use that. But question then will come back to me: do I really need an NFT? Okay.
Yeah.
If it's just an image by itself to provide me all these assets, then what indicates that this image is not an image, but it's an assets? Okay. So do I need blockchain to it? Do I need there's a lot of things that I think people are still trying to figure it out. So those who go in early, got it, good.
Yeah.
Those who went in, didn't get it, it's okay. I think that's what I believe in the cryptocurrency world now.
I like it. Don't waste time trying to convince people who don't believe in it.
I would I don't know. I think so. If I were to say what's the most important thing of the internet to all of you guys and get your guys' opinion, but I'm just using this as an analogy for my next point. I think cryptocurrency doesn't need a single usage or a single answer or a single single place, meaning, so like the internet, what's the most important thing? I think that's hard to say because internet is cheap data. That's really what the internet was. It made data easy to be moved around. So you get things like Uber Eats, which 30 years ago when someone said, what is this internet? Why is this free flow of data so important? How would you have guessed free flow of data would turn into Uber Eats and TikTok and YouTube and Facebook? There's no way to predict that. The way I see blockchain is a consensus of truth, and that's something that it's a new paradigm. So as the internet was cheap data, free, cheap, or not exactly free, but virtually free data, and now cryptocurrency with blockchain is going to be potentially the consensus of truth, which opens a different paradigm.
Yeah, you have confirmations and verifications.
Yeah, that nobody could control. And that opens a new paradigm from insurance companies who you could have a third-party adjusters that's not on the side of the insurance company, or you could have simply history. I think that would be huge for a government to try to say a government tries to, I don't know, like America's history where Chinese or Asians were brought to build the railroads, but yet there was Vietnamese and Filipinos there, and we lost the history of that. Granted, I mean, if blockchain existed, then they could have posted their stories and nobody could delete it, and there's a truth there. Whether we believe it, maybe they embellish their truth, but hopefully there's other people that could come and add, and you could never delete. So that I think this whole paradigm of truth by consensus is a paradigm that we don't know where blockchain is going, and I foresee it being a massive impact on the future of humanity, hopefully. So
yeah, we need Filipinos to get credit for the railroads.
I'll get off my soapbox for Filipinos. Next question. What's the biggest problem for humans, and how do we fix it?
Sorry, what's the question?
What's the biggest problem for humans, and what do we do to fix it?
Woof.
Okay. Good question. I think I see it this way. I'm just gonna say it as it is. I think of it is that everybody have their own sets of problem. Okay, I think, but every one of us, because we are human beings, we tend to see our problems as something that is more important than the other.
Right.
You want me to repeat again?
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
No.
My bad.
No, I think we
No,
got
Joe's
okay,
problem
go.
was more important at that point.
I'm sorry, dude. I have horrible allergies.
Are you allergic to cats?
I'm allergic to pollen.
Okay,
No, we got
okay,
you. You're saying everybody thinks their own problems are the biggest problems, right?
So ultimately, everyone's sort of selfish.
Yeah, we okay. The definition of it is always like that. Because we see our problems as more important than others, which is nothing wrong. Again, it is human. I mean, we are human, right?
Yeah.
So we tend to see our problem as something that is need to be resolved faster, earlier, so that we can progress, we can move on to the next stage of life or probably whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think is that the biggest challenge that we have is that what kind of problem to resolve? Because there are so many problems in this world, from I don't know, someone who may be starving, someone who cannot even get a bigger fan, okay, someone who wants to get a cheaper discounted TV. That may be a bigger problem to him, but it's just that I think different people have a different roles to play. For example, if you are a dad at home, I think when you're putting on the role of a dad, I think the problem that you should have is you are a dad. So meaning that what makes you a dad means that you have kids. So that should be your bigger problem that you need to resolve.
Oh yeah, when you become a parent, that's your biggest problem.
Hit the delete button on your kids? Is that what you're saying?
No. You're saying your kids are your big problem.
Oh, okay.
Your
So
kids are going to give you problems to solve all day long, every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that then if you're a CEO, of course, CEO, the E means execution. Unless you're talking about entertainment, so it's probably going to be a chief executive officer. So I think that part is that your bigger problem is that to be answerable to the business. I think that's it. But but to answer to your questions on this is that I think what we always see is that we tend to put our problem as the bigger one, and we don't quite understand why should we make space for others. So
okay.
I think the biggest problem that we should have is that we should not see our problem as the one and only. We should see that everybody have problem. Every one of us has problem.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a matter of like, do you have the resources? Do you have the time? Do you have all these to try to resolve it? Because honestly, okay, having a shoe that is a slightly smaller size, it may be a big problem for you. If you can't run, you can't walk, and you're probably gonna injure yourself. But to someone who has no shoe, okay, the first thing is that should you even compare? I think it's not. Okay, because we tend to have this very, very habit. I don't call it good or bad. It's like, just like you like to say, those were the days that I probably don't even have that. That now you have this, so you learn to appreciate. I think the truth of the matter here is that I'm born, and then I'm born to this family. I'm given all this. I did not ask for it, but I'm given all this. So if you suddenly turn it into like, hey, that is a problem for me now, because you don't seem to appreciate. But last time I don't even have it. So last time I don't have it. Now I have it. I appreciate. But now you have it. You don't appreciate. So you were trying to use something of a previous problem to compare. I think the bottom line here is that we should make space to accommodate other people who have problems also, and should not even spend time trying to compare. I got a bigger problem than yours. You got a bigger problem. Then by then, this is where I think the world is in chaos. I think this is how I see it.
I think Paddy's saying that there's no such thing as an airplane seat that's too small.
There
are sports cars that are too small. All right. Next question. What's your favorite food or dish?
Oh.
Okay. Good question. There's no particular dishes that I really, really fancy, but anything that my parents cook, I love it.
Delicious.
I mean, being someone who traveled around the world for so many years, I'm 47. I started traveling as early as 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, there are always great food and everything. I think it's the circumstances that put you together with my parents' cook food. I know it sounds a bit weird, but when they cook, means that you are in the settings where you sit down together and eat with them. So I think this is it comes a long way. So I think even if it's a fried egg, It's a simple fried rice. I think I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
granted that my parents are cook themselves, so there's no bad food. There's no bad food.
All right. Final question. Shout out 2 friends that you think should do this podcast.
Oh, okay. This one, okay. I could love to to have my successor, Jaslyn Bay, to be involved, to be invited if there's an opportunity. Reason is being, she was actually my intern. Okay. It sounds a bit weird. She's actually one of my successor of one of my companies.
The protege.
So she started off as an intern, and then I was like, wow, I mean, she's a top student, or she was a top student in the school. And I was like, of so many boutique consultancy, why join this? So she was reporting to my partner, and then I talked to her. So it's only on the last few weeks when she's finishing up an internship that she opens up. She said, she's actually wants to be her own boss of multiple businesses. And I said, okay, then why the hell are you sitting in the office doing, analyzing data and all this, doing reports? Shouldn't you go out? She said that she don't really have an opportunity. So the last few weeks before her internship finished, I actually brought her out. So I just show her. I don't care about her title. So we made out with clienteles and everything. So I just look at the clientele and then look at her. Hey, give me the solutions. And she got forced. She almost drowned. She got forced, and then she got better. And then because she gotten better, she came back as a part-timer. She came back as a full-time, and then eventually joined us for a couple of years. And I give her. We spin off. We have this habit of every 2 years we spin off a company, so that the better one, the good one, the talented one, irrespective of whether are you fat, ugly, rich, poor, or whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the talent, we give you a spin-off for 2 years. After that, we give you the company shares. Okay, we will finance the whole thing. 2 years. If it doesn't work out, we close it down. If we work it out, good. Then you become the shareholders. You become the one of the vested interest in it. And so far, she's doing well. She's now the group CEO of Blackstone Consulting. A mom, less than 30 years old. I don't know. You are looking into the real corporate world. The real corporate world. I think less than 30 years old. Companies multiple companies now, and all reporting to her. I think that's it's probably a testament of something goes right with my direction. Because I was still figuring, I'm still figuring out today. So that means it works. So that would be Jasin Bay. The other person that I also like to invite will probably be Shelby T. Shelby SHELBY TTE. She's the COO of Blackstone Consulting, but she's also the group CEO of Xprenia, another company that we spun off. Very similar like Jaslyn. Jaslyn was a business analyst, as I came from an intern. For her, Shelby was actually working as a marketing executive in one of the startup that I got involved in. But the CEO performed terribly, so I fired the CEO and I shut down the whole startup. But she did very well. She don't put her title as I'm a marketing executive, therefore I do only marketing stuff. She did the ops, she did the planning, she did did a lot of stuff. Right. So I invited her. I said, hey, I'm going to shut down the company. So she was like, huh? So I said, I fired the CEO. I'm going to bring you over to join my company. And she was like, really? Because I didn't really tell her who am I. I just positioned myself as the guy that you go to fix your phone, the guy that you go to fix your computer. So I brought her on board. So she was around the same time as when Jaslyn came on board as an intern. So Shelby joined as a business analyst also. So she was figuring herself out and all this. And I told her, you're very good in ops, but I still want you to learn about business development and sales. Okay. Reason being, when you're gonna run your own business, there's no such thing as you have to be good in only one thing. Even though you're not very good in, you still have to learn everything. So I put her I put her through hell. Okay. I think she deep inside she probably hates me. Okay. So because she's very good in ops, but she's not good in business development. She's not good in sales. I still threw her. I opened the Thailand market. I put her in and said, Thailand market, you go handle.
Yeah.
And then later I opened Malaysia market. I said, okay, because she's a Malaysian, but stays here in Singapore. So
Yeah.
I also throw her into Malaysia. Said, you go and handle. And then occasionally while she's handling, she's more matured. Sorry, not matured. She's slightly older than Jaslyn. So working experience is a bit more compared to Jaslyn.
Yeah.
But I do know that eventually I need to set a certain path. Okay. So I put Shelby in to do, eventually I discovered that she's actually very good in ops. Okay. Not so good in business development because, when to do business development, your engagement has to be very good.
Yeah.
She's very alpha. Again, nothing wrong. Especially when in the consultancy world, in the tech world, boys can be nasty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Guys
There are
can
some
be quite
gender
nasty.
differences. Yeah.
Yeah, can be quite, So she managed to make it out, I said to stand on a very strong footing. So I always disturb her. I always position that she can probably beat up the rest of us physically.
wow.
Yeah.
Great.
So lots of people are actually quite frightened of her because she's very good in ops, meaning that she's very accurate, she's very sharp. So if you have anything that is requires someone who is with a good experience in ops, I will just throw it over to her, and she can give it to me. What I will probably take half a day in about 5-10 minutes time. So
Nice.
they okay. Two of them started with Blackstorm Consulting as an owner, but they also have extended into other businesses. And so now we have I won't call it an empire, but we have different companies that we own here and there.
Yeah.
And then we move ourselves like a pack of wolves. So when a clientele comes in and say, hey, I need medical, I need medical industry, or I need IoT, or I need structuring on the products, on the financial. So we have a team of people. So Blackstorm has about 15 people. Then the rest of them, it adds up. So when that happens, we can, I don't know, probably we have like 10,000 people. We have about 10,000 employees, but each and every one of them have their own CEO. Each and every one of them have their own businesses and stuff like that.
So you have an agile structure.
I call it figuring it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a drink to cheers for the end?
Oh yeah, a little water bottle.
Paddy, thanks for sharing with us your international success and a window into your world. A pleasure to meet you and hear about your experiences.
Yeah. Thank you, Paddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Also.
Yes, thank you. It was fun.
Later, Joe.